I think we're live. Welcome back to another episode of Law and Profits here on the Fight, Laugh, Feast Network. I'm King Ginger, and the mercy of the wicked is cruel. And tonight we are going to see, actually, I'm not live on all platforms yet. Here we go. Now, let's try, let's try this again, shall we? Welcome back to another episode of Law and Profits here on the Fight, Laugh, Feast Network. I'm King Ginger, and tonight we're watching Bernie Sanders dish out his mercy. That is the mercy of the wicked. It's cruel, if you didn't know that. And so let me just get the chat windows up. By the way, the super chats are on full scale tonight. If you go to youtube.com/crownrightsmedia, you can join the chat, participate. Hopefully, I'm hoping that at the end of this, we'll have some Bernie supporters that want to call in through Discord and debate me. But that'll be fun. We shall see how that transgresses. We did it last time. We did a live stream and it worked out pretty well. So why not this time, huh? Why not? That's what I say. Yeah, why not this time? So right now we're currently waiting for the stream to start. The stream has not started yet, but as soon as it does, we will. For those of you that are joining us on YouTube, just to let you know that we will be doing live commentary of this rally. We will not let Bernie Sanders get away with his corrupted socialist ideologies. It's just not going to happen. We're not going to let it happen. And if you ever, at any moment, get sick of hearing Bernie Sanders' voice, you can send me a super chat, and I will immediately stop whatever Bernie Sanders is doing or saying, and we will read your comment, even if it's an insult. Even if it's an insult to me, if you want to send a super chat as you would a tomato or a dunk tank, however you find it in your best interest to spend that super chat money, feel free. I don't care. I'm getting paid no matter what with your super chats. That's the great thing about super chats. Trolls can pay you money. We've seen it before, and hopefully we shall see it again. That's what I'm hoping for. Again, we are waiting for the stream to start. It has not started. I have it up and ready. For those of you guys that don't believe me that I have it up and ready, here it is. It is up and ready to go. I have a little bit of reverse on it. Maybe that'll help. I don't think it'll matter. I don't think Bernie Sanders is going to be issuing copyright strikes. But just in case, that's just sort of, what we've learned from doing this. So the rally's supposed to start at 6:30. It is 6:31. Bernie, like a good socialist, is late. So, you guys think Bang should sponsor me by now? I'm pretty sure I have one for every of these live streams that I do. So, hopefully, the stream starts soon. But if you go to youtube.com/crownrightsmedia, you can join the chat. I'm also monitoring on a few Facebook pages. So if you're in there, feel free to share this on Facebook, like it, share it on Twitter, share it on Twitch, share it wherever you might see this, because we're going to expose what Bernie really wants to do today, and I'm really excited about it. I actually just found out about this a few moments ago. I was told about it during the stream that I was doing with AD last week, and I completely missed it. But that's how it goes. So let me just set up, let's see, just set up some stuff to help with this stream, so I'm more looking at you guys when I talk a little bit better anyway. So that's a little better, I think. At least I'm not looking down. But yeah, so apparently the rally has not started yet. So we're just killing airtime. And so for those of you guys that are new, let me explain what exactly it is that I believe. I do not believe in socialism. I do not believe in democratic socialism. I do not believe in anything close or slightly similar in taste to socialism, whether it's Coke or a Diet Coke version of socialism. I'm against it. Welcome to the chat. And so I believe that we can gather our views of economics from Scripture, which is the infallible, authoritative Word of God. And I think anything that tries to come against Scripture, even in socialist worldviews, that it is wrong. It is wrong, and I am 100% against it. So there's that. We are currently 4 minutes late. The stream has not started yet. Or has it? There's a live. Oh. I wasn't live. Well, it says it's live in 5 minutes. Let me refresh and just see if it comes up. If I start a new... No, it is... they have reset the clock, apparently. So we have 5 minutes. So while we have 5 minutes, why don't I go to the chat, and then in the chat we can talk there. So let's see what Matt Chavez says. Do you like your fire department and police department? Do you like your military? Oh, it's already beginning, guys. Stream hasn't even started yet, and we're already asking about the roads and the military and the police. So here's my position. It's a good question. So when it comes to the roads, the military, and the police, I do believe that private companies can do it better. I see very little reasons for a standing police department. I would much prefer that individual citizens are armed on their own. I think when you think about all the reasons that you need a police department, most of those reasons are preemptive in their view of crime. In other words, police departments want to pull you over for having a tail light out. I don't think that's necessary at all. They want to pull you over for speeding. I don't think that's necessary either. I think we should just punish those who get in accidents because they're driving recklessly. Those sort of things. Also, when it comes to in terms of defense and protecting people, I think if everybody was armed, they could protect themselves way faster than the police. If you are in a robbery, the police are not going to be there in time to protect you. If your house is broken into or something like that, the police are not going to be there to protect you when it happens, and that's when they need to be there. And so with fire departments, a lot of fire departments are volunteer-based. They're volunteer fire departments. People volunteer. So with that, and then when it comes to roads, I think there'd be a lot better infrastructure if roads were privatized and the people who own the roads put billboards and installed free Wi-Fi and all sorts of other ways for data collection or whatever they want to do. That would be how roads could be paid for. It's very, very possible. There's lots of examples of private roads. Tolls are a good example. So, and then now we have to ask about the military. When it comes to military, I also believe the military should be privatized in the sense of not companies, but individuals. I believe that individuals should, be able to protect their country. And I think if it was a volunteer military, I think we'd be in far less wars. We wouldn't have standing armies all over the military. Yeah, so anyway, so Wendell says, hey man, my name is Wendell. I just found your site. This sounds like it's going to be an interesting show, so let's get with it. Yes, Wendell, thank you so much for joining the chat. It is going to be an interesting show. It looks like we're 2 minutes away from it starting, and when it starts, we shall play it. We shall play it, and we shall enter into this together. Now, I was at the Phoenix rally for Trump. I wasn't inside, but the line wrapped for miles and miles and miles, and I've already seen a photo. Let me see if I can share this photo. Yeah, this is it. So let me see if I can I'll share this photo. Well, we got 2 minutes left. This is a photo from inside of Bernie's rally that I think is important for you guys to see. Not this. Stop. Nope, not that. Here it is. So if we go...
The political spotlight is back on Arizona. Senator Bernie Sanders is holding a rally tonight at the state fairgrounds. Team 12's Trisha Hendricks is live outside Veterans Memorial Coliseum. Trisha, what do people need to know before they head out this evening?
Is that the actual stream? No?
Good morning, Rachel. Well, the doors are opening at 4:30.
No, stop. Okay. Here's a photo from inside. As you guys can see from this photo, that is not a lot of people. Maybe we can open it up on Twitter. But yeah, that is not a lot of people. I don't know when this was taken, but the fact that they're just, look at all these empty seats here. It just doesn't, there's no way. When was this taken? This was taken at 4:57. Okay, so it's only a half hour after the doors opened, but I don't know, maybe it's full. We'll find out. We'll find out. But so far, that doesn't look very good for Bernie. So again, 10 seconds away from the stream starting, and we will let it start, and we will pause and stop we will pause and let things start and stop based on if I'm irritated enough. That's pretty much how this is going to work tonight. Based on my irritation levels, we will start and stop this. So, how long do we have? Oh, it says live in 0 seconds. Are these the people you want running your healthcare? You can't even do a live stream on time? It's just a question I have. It's pretty basic. Do you really want the government running your healthcare if they can't start a live stream without being 10 minutes late? Matt Chavez says, yes, I do. You really don't. You don't. You don't, Matt. But thanks for being part of the chat, man. I really appreciate it. I like to have people that disagree with me as they watch. It makes it far more entertaining. Well, I guess at any moment we shall see. So now you're telling us how to think? Yeah, kind of. If somebody was defending, child pornography or something, I would tell them how to think. I would say that's inappropriate to think that way. So I don't have a problem with telling people how to think, honestly. Especially if your thinking is not based on scripture. So, yes, Matt, I am telling you how to think. Matt Chavez says, are you going to collect your Social Security check? I don't really care about my Social Security check, honestly. Just, no, probably not a lot. Not a lot there, to be honest. Matt Chavez says, I'll take it. I'm sure you will, you socialist thief. Socialists love to take other people's money, don't they? There it is, Matt Chavez in the chat. By the way, if you're watching me on another platform, the chat that I'm most interacting with is youtube.com/CarmKnightsMedia. You can watch it there. And maybe, hopefully, if you type in Bernie Sanders rally in Phoenix, it'll come up, hopefully. That's how I told it to. So, Matt Chavez says, I'm a democratic socialist. Get it right. Diet Coke. You're a Diet Coke socialist. Tastes like the real thing, baby. Oh man, this is gonna be fun tonight. This is gonna be fun. Jesse says, should we privatize the fire department too? Well, I already said that earlier, that a lot of fire departments are volunteer based. Volunteer fire departments, that's where we get it from. So yes. And the answer is yes. Very, very clearly the answer is yes. By the way, if you guys are just tuning in and you're wondering, where is the Democratic rally at? Where is Bernie at? I don't know. I don't know. It hasn't started yet. I am watching from the official feed. It has not started yet. And there was a countdown clock. Countdown clock has gone away. It's disappeared. There's no more countdown clock. And again, like I said, these are the people you want running government, and they can't even start a live stream on time. So, Andrew says he's made some good points so far. LOL. Thanks, Andrew. Really appreciate that. Don't know if you're being sarcastic or not, but I'll take whatever I can get. So, let's see. What else do we have? Somebody said Bernie must have had another heart issue. I hope not. That would be bad. I don't wish that upon anybody, for sure. Especially heart issues. Specifically. Somebody says, Matt says, talking about me, bud, what's Trump's plan on healthcare? I can't find it anywhere. I honestly hope Trump doesn't have a plan on healthcare. I don't think the government should be involved in healthcare at all. I don't think we should have the FDA. We shouldn't have a health department, a Department of Health for the United States anywhere, period. So there's that. I don't believe in Medicare for all. I don't believe in Medicare for anyone. I know, shocking. Medicare for no one. That's my phrase. I should make a shirt that says Medicare for no one. That'd be awesome. Matt Chavez says, are you an anarchist? I am not an anarchist. I believe that government has one job, and it's to terrorize those who do evil, as it says in Romans 13. And so to do that, we have to define what is evil. And helping people with health care is not terrorizing those who do evil. In fact, you're stealing from people who do good in order to pay for your health care. So that is what I think about socialist healthcare and the role of government. So the government should not be involved in mercy outfits like healthcare, education. Oh, look, I'm starting to hear something. That was somebody coughing. Did you guys hear that? It's definitely somebody coughing. The audio works. Audio is working. So exactly what you've been saying. It the beliefs of anarchy, my guy. It's not the beliefs of anarchy. I do believe there's a role for government, a just role. So, yeah. Somebody says, I just started going to a Theonomist church. It's awesome talking to people who don't believe in government interference in the private sector. Well, it's amazing how that can be, that position can be gained from just reading the Bible and doing what it says. Bernie likes to say healthcare is a right. I don't think that's true, even though everyone who needs it should receive it. That is correct. I believe anyone who needs healthcare should receive healthcare. I just don't believe that's the government's job. I think there are private organizations that can do that just as well. Samaritan Ministries is a great example of a private organization that covers healthcare bills very, very well for millions and millions of people. Instead of paying an insurance company every month, you simply write a check to a family in need for the minimum payment that you require that per family. So I think a family is like $300 or $400 a month, and you just pay $300 or $400 a month to an actual person who needs help with their medical bills. And all Samaritan Ministries does is divide up where the payments, which families get the payments and stuff like that. Great plan. It actually fixes every single problem of the healthcare industry, I believe. It's absolutely fantastic. And so, again, for those of you guys that are tuning in, we are waiting for the Bernie rally to start. It is late. Imagine if you needed an emergency surgery under Bernie's healthcare, under Medicare for all, and they can't even get a live stream to start on time. Matt Chavez says, nothing is perfect. That's true, nothing is perfect, but I would hope that the healthcare industry is pretty close. So, so what is the role of government? Jesse, I don't know if you're talking to me. Maybe because you posted it 3 times. The role of government is to terrorize those who do evil and reward those who do good, according to Romans 13. And it is not terrorizing evil to give everybody health care. That's not their job. The Bible says that they are a servant of justice, and so their job is to bring about justice and wrath upon the wrongdoer, and that is obviously not what's happening with universal health care. So somebody says, have you ever heard of the separation of church and state? I agree with the separation of church and state. That's why I'm talking about what the government should do versus what the church should do. There's a very clear distinction there. The church should not punish those who do evil, but the government should. The church should provide for health care, but the government should not. This is fun. This is fun. Maybe if more of these rallies were late, we could have some more discussions like this. I like to do this. This is a good time. Thanks, Matt, for participating. Really do appreciate it, even if you're absolutely wrong. Absolutely wrong. 100%. I guess, Matt, a good question for you would be, why do you think it's okay to steal money from other people so you can get what you want? Right? That's the basis here. Of what you want to do is you want to steal from other people. And so that is what's happening. Ever read the Declaration of Independence? Is that about me? I don't know if that's to me or not, but I have read the Declaration of Independence, and universal health care is not part of the Declaration of Independence. So, oh yeah, Gino, the founding fathers, they had a Christian worldview, that's for sure. So, anyways, if you guys are watching me on other platforms and you're wondering, who is he talking to? I'm talking to the people on the YouTube chat. You can go to the YouTube chat, youtube.com/CarlKnightsMedia. Feel free to join in, be a part of the chat. We're having a good discussion here. And you can send me super chats along the way, too. That is something that can be done. That is fun. So, thanks, everybody, for watching. We are currently awaiting the stream to actually begin. We are now 20 minutes late for this rally. 20 minutes behind schedule. It's supposed to start at 6:30. I'm thinking maybe they planned for it to start at 7, but they said 6:30 to get everybody watching. So.
And so should each of you. There should be a light shining down this tunnel to our future, but instead there is darkness and shadows around every corner. And who knows what is hiding in them? An accident that will leave you with a choice between death and medical debt. A mountain of student loans that is near impossible to pay to get a degree that won't even guarantee you a job to pay it off. Natural disasters, extreme drought, extreme heat, utility shutoffs that'll leave us defenseless. To get a degree that won't even guarantee emergency. But right now, I want you to shift away from that. It is so easy for us to all get caught up in the doom and gloom of the situation that every American is facing. So let's talk about what we can build together.
There it is. We're in service.
That will invest in our future by creating millions of jobs. A Green New Deal that will acknowledge there is no climate justice without racial justice, economic justice.
Who's this?
Without gender justice and justice for our indigenous peoples. A Green New Deal that will build a renewable energy economy that will teach us to work.
Just for the record, you can't attach justice to any word you want and it mean anything. Economic justice, social justice, healthcare justice. You just can't do that. It doesn't, that's not, justice is an objective term and it means something.
A Green New Deal that will save my generation and every generation to follow it. Along with Medicare for all, tuition-free, $15 minimum wage.
$15 minimum wage?
That is what I believe in and what I'm determined to fight for.
Oh, you don't want to fight for a $15 minimum wage, Mr. Guy who's probably never run a business. That is crazy talk to even say such a thing. Especially when Bernie wants to increase the taxes on anybody making over, I think it's $32,000 a year. So at $15 an hour, you're really close to that line of like having increased taxes. And then with those increased taxes, you'll be making a lot less than you would have on a $7 minimum wage, to be honest.
Alone to clean it up. Young people might give you inspiration with what we do, but we need inspiration from you too. And that starts with casting a vote for Senator Bernie Sanders if you're able to. With a choice, with an opportunity to create real change and real progress to transform this nation, or to stick with the systems that have gotten us here. Right now, I need all of you to know who you are. I need you to know who you are in this point of history and show me with actions, not words, with bravery, not fear, with advocacy, not silence, and remember that this is our future we are walking towards together, not me, us.
Not me, us. Oh, these people have no idea how the government is supposed to function. None.
This is our future, so let's fight for it together, and let's start by electing the climate candidate, by electing the leader my generation needs, by electing our organizer-in-chief, Senator Bernie Sanders, to the White House. So what I need you all to remember as you're standing here is that you are the people that will make this happen. That the people here, the power of you and the power of the people is stronger than the people in power, stronger than the establishment. We will win in 2020.
No, you won't. You won't.
Thank you so much.
By the way, the audio is low on Bernie's feed, so if you're having trouble hearing it,
Please welcome to the stage a Marine Corps veteran, founding member of Vets Forward, and advisory member of Honest Arizona, Hunter Henderson.
Where's Hunter? It's a different Hunter. It's a different Hunter.
Yeah.
Ooh, he's a union guy.
Good evening, Phoenix.
By the way, the stream is jumping. It's
I've never spoken in front of this many people before, so you're going to have to give me some extra love tonight.
That was prideful and arrogant.
My name is Hunter Henderson. I'm an Arizona native, and I'm a Marine Corps veteran. I'm here today representing a group called Common Defense. We're an organization of military veterans working to build a country where liberty and justice truly is for all of us.
Imagine having to cheer every single.
I'm here today because the veterans of Common Defense have chosen to endorse and support Senator Bernie Sanders for the next president of the United States. Almost exactly 4 years ago, I was standing right here in this crowd.
John Mendoza is a Marine Corps commie.
What's going on? I came to hear a man named Bernie Sanders speak here in Phoenix in 2016.
Head trauma.
His message of hope and his vision for the future are part of what inspired me.
Oh, but seriously, like if you're a Marine and you're a communist or a socialist, what are you fighting for in the Marines? Like, because you're not fighting for freedom at that point. You're not fighting for the values of our country at all.
Beyond this years of battling heart disease complications, I watched my mother struggle for years under the crippling debt from his end-of-life care costs. We lost our house, and we spent the next decade bouncing around from rental to rental. When college was on the horizon, I realized that my mom was not going to be able to help me. Over 10 years after my dad had passed, and she was still drowning under the weight of the debt incurred by just trying to save his life. I stared down the burden of my own debt if I wanted to go to college.
Sob stories are not facts.
Instead, I joined the Marine Corps, hoping to serve my country in return for a better life. And it seemed like a fair trade at the time. And it took me years to realize that it absolutely is not.
There's a good amount of people
It is not a fair trade to ask the young men and women of this country to put their mental and physical well-being on the line so that they might get a college education, so that they might get some affordable health care. We all deserve better, and I know that Senator Sanders is fighting for better. Now, my dad died in 2002, and since then, this country has spent trillions of dollars on fighting endless wars.
I'm against wars, by the way.
And what is most painful is how very common the story of my family is. My story is not unique. Millions of families across this country continue to suffer, and 500,000 people will go bankrupt from medical debt just this year. And yet soon, there will undoubtedly be a death of an 18-year-old or 19-year-old soldier overseas dying in a war that began before they were even born. We, the veterans of Common Defense, aren't willing to stand by while these injustices continue to ring out across every community in this country.
I think this anti-war message is something that's really appealing to young people, and it's absolutely true. It's absolutely silly that we're still involved in all these wars. But I have to say, I think Trump's done a lot to reduce the size of the military overseas. Not as much as he could be doing, of course, but he's definitely made more attempts to shrinken the size of the government overseas than most people. And I don't know why my stream keeps jumping to live when I'm not ready for it to, but...
4 years ago, Senator Bernie Sanders gave me the hope and inspiration that led to me standing on this stage today. So I'm proud to be in this fight with Senator Sanders, and we at Common Defense are proud to endorse and support him. Because it is not just about me and it's not just about him, it's about us, and all of us are going to make Bernie Sanders the next president of the United States.
He's not going to be president.
Bernie.
He's not going to be president. Let's try union.
One last thing before I go. If you are a veteran who believes in the same fight, standing in this crowd or watching at home, text 40469 with the word veteran to get involved with this fight in Common Defense and support Bernie Sanders for the next president of the United States. Thank you so much, Arizona.
Please welcome to the stage the Director for Living United for Change in Arizona, or Lucha, Stephanie Maldonado.
Good evening. Buenas tardes. Thank you all for being here. My name is Stephanie Maldonado, and I am the co-organizing director at Living United for Change in Arizona, also known as Lucha. Se siente la presencia de nuestra comunidad esta noche. I am here because in 2012, my mother told me, "Mija, we come to this country to fight. Fight for a better future for our families, and now it's your turn to fight for yours." She told me that 2 years after Arizona passed SB 1070, she told me that, boo, yes. She told me that when she decided to go back to Mexico because of the racism and the doors of opportunity that were closed for her here, but I decided to stay. I felt what so many families feel, the anger, the fear, the frustration. But I felt something others feel too. The coraje, the ganas, the determination. The resiliency of people who have come too far to get pushed back. I am the daughter of immigrants who is proud of her culture. I am a new mother who loves her beautiful brown daughter and the dreams of the beautiful future she deserves to have. I am proud of where I come from. In simple terms, I am Donald Trump's worst nightmare.
Oh, man.
All of us in here are Donald Trump's worst nightmare.
No, you're not. You're not.
Because I'm also proud to know that I can't get ahead unless we get together. That we
Trying to update
that
the
we have
quality
to
of the
join
stream.
with the Black Civil Rights Movement, the youth movement for our planet, and with every single one of you who loves democracy more than Trump loves his Twitter account.
She feels so good about
If
that.
there's one thing Arizona has taught me is that the impossible is possible when we stop putting our faith in only politicians and start putting faith in each other.
She felt so good about that line, that Twitter line.
In Arizona, from the ashes of SB 1070, the Show Me Your Papers law, we have created a resilient community that was born in the fights, lost and won since 2010. The results of this are clear. We have ousted sponsor of that, SB 1070, Russell Pierce, and his buddy Sheriff Joe Arpaio. We passed the most progressive minimum wage increase in the country and paid sick time for hundreds of thousands of Arizona families. And we are going to kick out Trump this year.
No, you're not. It's not going to happen.
This was done because brown and black communities, single women, young voters, and the sons and daughters of many of those who were targeted by SB 1070 have created a new vision and mission for our families. We are knocking on doors, organizing our neighbors not only to participate but elect our own representatives and move this state forward. This is credited to the hard work of organizations like Lucha and our partners, including Senator Sanders, who have helped create the space for our people to take charge. Here at Lucha, we went through a historic member-driven endorsement process to pick a presidential candidate. Our endorsement committee did not look like what you may think. Leaders like...
So, someone in the YouTube chat said, you got the guy who invented McDonald's kiosk rich, too. That is what minimum wage does, isn't it? And aren't they great? Also... why even go into a McDonald's now when the app works so well?
Maribel, a single immigrant mother who tirelessly works to improve the conditions of undocumented workers, voted for Senator Sanders. Young students from Maryville, like Yvonne, who want to make sure themselves and their friends can access quality education, voted for Senator Sanders. Native community members like Sarah Munoz that know affordable housing is a right, not a privilege, voted to support Senator Sanders. Our Lucha Endorsement Committee voted overwhelmingly with 93.75% to support Senator Bernie Sanders. And
by the way, I think there's donate to Bernie here in the corner. Where is it at? Right around here. I think this donate to Bernie is pretty interesting, that you have people that want to donate to him based on charity as opposed to the government actually, taking money from you without your permission and under threat of imprisonment. I just think it's funny that Bernie is all about free will donations here.
Our movement for President of the United States. Every day our community is choosing to dream about a prosperous future over the status quo. We choose our community's health, not big insurance companies. We choose our children's future, not mass incarceration. We choose hope, not fear and demonization.
I'm against mass
We
incarceration
at
too,
Lucha,
actually.
along with all of you, choose a new Arizona for our families and for the future generations to come. And that's why today we are asking our Arizona community, our tias, our abuelas, our neighbors, our friends, our teachers to show up. Show up for healthcare. Show up for those who are locked up and for those who are victims of the criminal injustice system. Show up. Show up for the immigrant community. Show up for your planet and show up to defeat Trump. Mail in your boleta by March 11th or vote in person on March 17th to support the future presidente of the United States, Bernie Sanders. Se puede!
By the way, you can't see this on the stream, but on the official stream there's only 6,500 people watching. That's not a lot. That's not a lot of people. I don't know what.
Thank you all y buenas noches.
Oh, I guess you gotta have the Spanish speaking flag. Looks like there's a Muslim in the back here too. Two Muslims. Scary. Scary because socialism. Oh, I'm gonna get copyright struck. Oh, man. Stop playing copyrighted music at these rallies. Stop it. Oh, man, I hope they don't cancel the feed. We'll just mute this until the next person comes up, because that is death. That is death. How dare they? How dare they? That's how you kick me off. Oh, man. Demonetized already. Oh, man. Well, this has been interesting. A lot of people in the YouTube chat. Let's see some of your comments. I'm waiting for the next person to come up. It says, si se puede. They're shouting, yes, we can. Oh, okay. Okay. Some guys, John Mandero says, hey, dude, like your beard, brother. Thanks, man. Appreciate it. I work hard on it. Nah, I don't. It comes naturally. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Just lost the feed. Come back. Okay. Doesn't look like anything is happening at this point. We're still waiting. But I'm more than welcome to take questions and super chats from the YouTube chat. You can visit me at youtube.com/crownrightsmedia. You can visit everything there. As we're waiting for the next person to come up, I'm hoping Mayor Kate Gallego does not show up. I'm not a fan of her. I don't like her at all. I think she's a terrible mayor. And she's the mayor of Phoenix. And I have a feeling she might be a Bernie supporter because she's an absolute radical and a moron. So those are the two qualifications for being a Bernie supporter, being radical and being a moron. And Kate Gallego absolutely meets those requirements 100%. So, but if you guys are wondering why it's muted because they're playing copyrighted music. And I'm not going to get kicked from this stream. It's not going to happen this time. So, hashtag Bernie for AZ. I should have put that in the description. That would have been nice. Oh, well. By the way, if you're watching this, please hit the share button. Be sure to like and comment and interact. We really appreciate it. As we're waiting for the next person to show up. Yeah, Amanda, the music is off. We cut the music off because it's copyrighted and we don't want to get copyright striked. But thanks, Amanda, for that. We for sure don't want to get booted. Okay, here's some people. Let's see. Give it a second. Make sure the music is...
My name is Betty Guardado. I am the Vice Mayor of the City of Phoenix, and I am very excited to help introduce Senator Bernie Sanders.
Ah, so not Kate Gallego, her Vice Mayor.
My story is the American dream.
She's awful too.
I come from an immigrant family who worked very hard, but still struggled. Amnesty made us Americans, but good jobs, housing, and health care were not a guarantee.
No, the good jobs in housing and healthcare were not a guarantee, but you're the Vice Mayor of the City of Phoenix. You managed to do pretty well. There's that shows you that even if you don't have everything and you come from a line of immigrants, that you're capable of making it on your own without the help of the government, I would hope.
I got my own start working as a hotel housekeeper, and I quickly joined my union, Unite Here, Local 11.
Of course. She's a union addict.
Unite Here was fighting to make sure the American dream included living wages, free health care, and guarantees that Latinas like me could move up.
Nothing's stopping you as a Latina from moving up. You're the Vice Mayor of the City of Phoenix. Let's use some common sense here. She's the Vice Mayor of the City of Phoenix.
I became an organizer for the union, and for more than 20 years have been fighting for other families and trying to make sure that we keep this American dream we keep fighting for.
Oh, boy.
But I thought that wasn't enough, and a year ago, I decided to run for the Phoenix City Council. I know, right? Someone that looks like me, a former housekeeper, an organizer, a wife, a mom, and of course, a Latina.
Do you know how moronic it sounds when you keep saying, somebody that looks like me ran for Vice Mayor, she made it as Vice Mayor, which means there obviously wasn't a problem for people like her to do it. And if she can do it, what is she saying about all the other Latinas who haven't done it? It's not, but she's able to do it, right, without government assistance. Just like they're not thinking this through. It's actually incredibly racist to say that Spanish-speaking people or Latino people cannot make it on their own without government handouts. I actually believe that Latinos are actually capable of doing amazing things without the government. And it has nothing to do with racism. And I think it's racist to say that Latino people need government assistance in order to succeed. I think it's racist to say that. Same with black people. If you say that black people need government assistance in order to succeed, why can't I say that word? If you're saying that black people need assistance, then you don't believe in the strength of black people. You believe they need help, and it should be insulting to any minority.
I ran because we need leaders who have been in the trenches and understand that the struggle still continues. Senator Bernie Sanders is someone who understands. I know this firsthand. When thousands of Unite Here members were fighting for fair wages at Disney, Bernie stood by them. And when hotel housekeepers took a stand against sexual harassment, Bernie was also there. Today, our nation is facing one of the biggest threats to the American dream, and it's coming from the White House.
Yeah, such a threat to your American dream of becoming Vice Mayor.
To defeat
Such a threat.
Donald Trump.
And just by the way, didn't she become the vice mayor during Trump's term? So how can she say Trump is preventing people from succeeding when she's done that? She's succeeded. People just are not thinking.
We have a chance to get behind a candidate who will stand up for economic justice, women's issues, LGBTQ rights, and immigration reform.
Well, gotta get the gay rights in there.
Someone who will stand and help grow unions like Unite Here.
Yeah, you guys don't really want unions.
And all the other organizations that make our voices be heard every single day out in the trenches. Arizona can lead by example and prove that people are more important than politics.
Well, if people are more important than politics, how about we get the politics out of the way of the people? How about that? How about stop with all the unions, stop with all the government assistance, stop with all the programs to aid people or whatever. Just stop it. Just let people succeed. Just get rid of regulations and get rid of all the other fines and fees that are required to start a business. That is a way you can really help people, especially poor and inner city people, do very, very well.
We can defend that American dream for everyone. This is the year we as a collective, all of us together, will stop Donald Trump.
No, it's not. No, it's not. I can tell by how many people are watching this rally in Phoenix right now.
We will
not
stop
true.
them at the ballot box. We will send a message to the rest of the country that Arizonans are willing to fight for fair wages, housing, and health care.
I'm not. I'm an Arizonan, and I'm not willing to fight for it.
We will fight for the American dream for all working families. Together, we will win.
I don't mean this as an insult at all, but this kid looks like the kid from Modern Family, and every time I glance at him, I think, is that the kid from Modern Family? He just does.
Today, our nation is facing one of the biggest threats, like I said. And for that reason, I now want all of you guys to join me in welcoming to Arizona, Senator Bernie Sanders.
Fluffy, is that his name? Oh no, Fluffy's the comedian. Yeah. Just reminds me of a Barron Trump moment where he doesn't really want to be there, but he's up there. Ah, we're gonna get demonetized! Oh, stop the music! Stop the music. Hopefully the cheering prevents me from being banned on YouTube.
Thank you, Phoenix!
Goodness. I need to be sharper when it comes to stopping when I'm about to speak so I don't get demonetized again.
Thank you!
It's hard to do a YouTube stream, you know? Nowadays. Very, very difficult. Oh, Bernie.
Thank you!
That's, why don't you go up another level? Go up another level, camera guy.
You're a very large crowd, you're a very loud crowd.
Go up to the second level. I'm curious, because Trump was sold out.
Let me thank all of you for coming out tonight. Let me thank the Red...
Ooh, already a heckler, huh?
Whoever it was, I think they're a little outnumbered tonight. And more importantly, they're going to be outnumbered in November.
No, they're not. No, they're not.
Let me thank the Red Mountain Dancers for performing tonight. Let me thank the Venomous Pinks.
The Venomous Pinks. Oh,
Let me thank Adiba Khan.
We missed those.
Diana Aquila.
That must have been before the rally started.
Brian Messinas. Hunter Henderson.
These people not even know who these
Stephanie
people are.
Maldonado.
They just cheered anything. They don't know who
And
these people
Betty Guardado.
are. No idea who these people are.
And again, I want to thank everybody for coming out in what is the most important and consequential election in the modern history of our country.
They
Thank you
say
very
that
much.
every election, don't they? Has there ever been an election where they didn't say that?
And tonight, we are assembled for two fundamental reasons. Number one, together we are going to defeat Donald Trump.
You're not. Oh! We just got a super chat from Gino Phillips. Super chat actually interrupts the regularly scheduled programming. And he says, I'm really just paying you in the hopes that you accept my friend request on Facebook. Love you, brother. Jesus Christ is Lord. Yeah, I will do that as soon as this stream is over. Thank you so much, Gino, for the $20 super chat. Really appreciate it. It's really great, really happy. And also it means we get to take a break from here and Bernie talk for a minute, which is always nice. Because, as he said, anything really interesting yet? I don't think so.
Who is the most dangerous president in the modern history of this country.
Trump is so dangerous. He's so dangerous.
No matter what one's political views may be, I think we all understand we cannot maintain in the White House a person who is a pathological liar.
Well, that goes for Biden.
Somebody who is running a corrupt administration. Somebody who has apparently never read the Constitution of the United States. Somebody who thinks that he is above the law.
Thanks, Gino. I added you as a friend right now, so you're good to go.
So in November, we are going to teach Donald Trump a lesson in democracy.
We're a republic. Not a democracy, we're a republic.
Because we are going to make him a one-term president.
You got to beat Biden first, Bernie.
But Trump is not just a pathological liar. He is a fraud. When he ran for president in 2016, he said that he was going to provide health care to everybody. He lied.
I'm glad he lied about that. If he lied about that, I'm really glad he did.
Instead of trying to provide health care to everybody, he attempted to throw 32 million Americans off of the health care they have and do away with the protections for pre-existing conditions.
Praise the Lord.
Donald Trump told us that his tax proposal would not benefit him and his billionaire friends. He lied again. Over a 10-year period, 83% of the benefits went to the top 1%.
All right, let's just take a minute and just talk about this top 1% thing. Who cares how much money people make? If they make the money, it's their money. That doesn't give you the right to steal it or demand that they pay more in taxes because they're wealthier. The Bible speaks about issues relating to favoring the rich because they're rich or favoring the poor because they're poor. Justice isn't necessarily about dividing up people's money. That's not what actually, not necessarily, not at all. It's not about dividing up people's money because they have a certain amount. Bernie wants to steal from wealthy people. He is wealthy, by the way. He's a millionaire. So when he talks about this, you know, now you know exactly what he means.
And in 2016, Trump said, you know, trust me, I'm not going to cut Medicare, Medicaid, and Social Security. He lied again. Just today, he was on television talking about his desire to cut, quote-unquote, entitlement programs, Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, and his budgets called for massive cuts to those programs which are so very important to the working families of this country.
They're not important. It's amazing, too, how those budget cuts, just those, they weren't a lot. Those cuts weren't a lot, but they did a lot for the economy right now. Like, the economy's doing well. And that just proves that the less taxes people have to pay, the better the economy gets. It's just a fact of economics.
We are going to defeat Donald Trump because we are the strongest campaign to do it.
They are the strongest campaign to beat Trump. I don't think Biden has much of a shot, other than the fact that he'll
to
get
defeat Trump, we need a campaign of excitement and energy.
Biden is not exciting and has no energy. Is that what you're saying? Is that what you're saying, Bernie? Tell them how you really
And
feel.
anyone who is listening to this crowd knows we have a campaign of energy and excitement.
That is true. A lot of crazies are excited over Bernie.
We are going to defeat Trump because we have an unprecedented grassroots movement of people all over this country.
This cameraman is not very good.
Black and white and Latino, Native American, Asian American.
Yeah, Trump has that too.
Trump is trying to divide the people of our country together. We are trying to bring our people together. And we are bringing...
I personally, just to comment on that, I don't think there's anything wrong at all with division, especially when it comes to awful policies like Bernie Sanders. I want our country to be divided over Bernie Sanders' positions. I think they're worth fighting for, absolutely 100% worth fighting for, and we should be divided over these issues. It's an important division. So to sit there and say that Trump is dividing people, I don't care. And also, I would say it's your positions that are divisive towards our republic, and I don't think it's Trump's.
Our people together in the struggle for justice, and at the end of the day, as Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. reminded us, at the end of the day, justice will prevail. Now, as some of you know, that at the beginning of this campaign, there were some 18 candidates contesting for the Democratic nomination. Well, we're down to 2.
Can I just make a comment about how low resolution their live stream is right now, and think that if Bernie can't get a decent 1080 live stream for his events, I don't want him running government healthcare. I mean, if he can't get this right, I mean, the fact that we're watching this at 340p is really, really terrible. You need to at least get this right if you want to take over the entire nation's healthcare system.
And I want to, as some of you know, Senator Elizabeth Warren, a good friend of mine, dropped out today. And I want to take this opportunity to applaud
Somebody
Senator
said Tulsi
Warren
is still in the
for a
race.
strong
Bernie is such a
issue-oriented
snake.
campaign.
I guess Tulsi hasn't quit yet, has she? That's funny.
And tonight we invite Senator Warren's supporters into our campaign. Because I think they will find...
I think Bernie's going to get about 1,024th of Elizabeth Sanders' support.
Many of the issues that
That
Senator
joke just
Warren
doesn't get old. It has so
campaigned
many
on
uses.
are exactly the issues that we are fighting for. So there are now 2 candidates. One of them is an old friend of mine, Joe Biden. And now when you have 2 candidates, no. What we are going to do, when you got 2 candidates, unlike when you have 18 candidates, it is possible to really contrast the views of the candidates. And that's what I'm going to do. Joe Biden is a decent guy, and I know that if I win the nomination, he'll be there for me. If he wins, I'll be there for him. Because our differences are minimal compared to the differences we have with Trump.
It's so nice of you, Bernie.
But let me contrast for a moment some of the differences in views that that Biden and I have. And one of them has to do with how we run our campaign. Joe Biden has received campaign support from at least 60 billionaires.
Oh my goodness. Tell me it's not so. Tell me it's not so. Oh, the shock, the horror that people are receiving money from billionaires. That's crazy. What a catastrophe to the republic. Oh my gosh. This is just not a point that is worth anything. It's just, who cares? Billionaires are not inherently evil because they're billionaires. It's just it's so silly.
He is receiving support now from former Mayor Bloomberg, one of the wealthiest people in this country.
Is he still a billionaire after that campaign?
And Joe has an active super PAC.
Oh, no, not a super PAC.
Well, we're running our campaign very differently. We don't have a super PAC. We don't want a super PAC.
Just a quick note that a super PAC doesn't have to be representative of Bernie Sanders or have Bernie Sanders' permission. So there could be super PACs that support Bernie Sanders But to say that just because you don't have one doesn't mean there's not super PACs in your corner. And when you run for president, guaranteed there will be super PACs that make ads in your favor, because that's just what super PACs do. That's just why they're there, why they exist. Again, they're not inherently
We don't need a super PAC.
You probably have them.
Because we are raising our campaign funds from the working class of this country. And I am proud to tell you that up to this point in the campaign, we have received some 8 million contributions. From 2 million Americans, averaging $18.50 a contribution.
I don't care, honestly.
This is a campaign.
Here's the thing. I personally don't care how much money Bernie Sanders raised. He has every right to raise as much money as he wants from whoever he wants. It doesn't matter to me. This is a silly, silly argument. And it's like the people in the audience should not be cheering this sort of stuff because it just doesn't matter. In the long run, it doesn't matter at all.
Of the working class, by the working class, and for the working class.
It doesn't matter. Their crowd is the most unthinking
and
crowd.
As somebody who grew up
they just cheer
in
anything.
a working class home, lived in a rent-controlled apartment my entire childhood.
How did the government help you,
I am proud that our campaign and our administration is not beholden to billionaires, not beholden to Wall Street, not beholden to the pharmaceutical industry, and not beholden to the fossil fuel industry.
Hunter Biden.
So right from the start, you can tell a whole lot about a campaign in terms of where the campaign raises his money. Does anybody seriously think that a candidate who takes money from Wall Street and the drug companies and has a super PAC is going to stand up for the working class and make the real changes that we need? But it is not just how we raise our money. It's what our record has been. Joe has been in the Senate for a long time before he was vice president. I've been in the House and the Senate. We have very different records, and the American people should understand the difference. When George W. Bush and Dick Cheney were telling us that we needed to invade Iraq,
welcome back to the stream, Invalid Cookie.
I knew that they were lying, and I vigorously opposed that war. Joe Biden voted for the war in Iraq. When the corporate world said, you got to support disastrous trade agreements like NAFTA and PNTR, which cost us millions of good-paying manufacturing jobs, I said no. I said we need to have trade agreements which work for workers, not just the CEOs of large corporations.
There's a literal, I don't know if you can see it, I believe, but right here, it looks to be a literal blue-haired feminist. I think she literally dyed her hair.
I said that in this country, in Mexico, we do not want a race to the bottom. We want a race to the top.
There we go.
So I helped lead the opposition against those trade agreements. Joe Biden supported them. 12 years ago, the crooks on Wall Street nearly destroyed our economy. Millions of people lost their jobs, they lost their homes, they lost their life savings because of the greed and irresponsibility and thievery of Wall Street. And after Wall Street nearly destroyed the economy, they came to Congress begging for a bailout. And what I said then is, if you want a bailout, go to your billionaire friends and get a billionaire.
I'm against bailouts of any type, so good for him.
On the other hand, Joe Biden
it's the
voted
smallest
for
government
that bailout.
assistance he's ever been in favor of.
Some years ago, there was a terrible bankruptcy bill which hurt millions of working families. Joe supported that bill. I vigorously opposed it.
Can we just talk about real quick, how terrible the term working family is? Pretty much every family is a working family. Even billionaires work for a living. Most of them do, unless they're inheritance billionaires. But even billionaires that receive an inheritance, they still do work, whether it's investments or working the companies they inherited. So, again, it's just really silly. I just think it's really silly. Working families. I don't know many families that aren't
Number of years
working.
ago, Joe Biden was on the floor of the Senate more than once talking about the need to cut Social Security, Medicare, and veterans programs. I helped lead the opposition against those cuts. And my view then and my view now is that we have got to expand Social Security benefits, not cut them.
Oh, more money.
When legislation came up some years ago determining whether our gay brothers and sisters could be open about their sexual orientation and serve in the military.
Oh, goodness. Yes.
I said yes.
Terrible. Terrible, by the way. It's really awful that men who boast about themselves not being masculine want to serve in our military. I think that's an absolute disaster. If you can't get your home life right, I don't think you should be serving in our military at all, especially if you don't know the difference between actual marriage and a gay mirage. No way. No way.
Joe
What a disaster
Biden
for our
said
country.
no.
Good for Joe Biden for saying no to that. Oh, another heckler. So many hecklers. Very heated political atmosphere.
I think that gentleman is also outnumbered here today. All of you know that for a number of years, there have been attacks against women's right to control their own bodies.
Oh, here we go, the abortion talk. Oh, gosh.
And I am proud to tell you that I have a 100% pro-choice voting record.
So 100% of the time, Bernie is in favor of murdering children. Look at the excitement on this woman's face for her right to be able to kill her own child. How disgusting and sick. How disgusting and sick to brag about that and to think that gives you points somehow. And all these people who are cheering this on. No wonder they don't understand economics. These are people who want to murder their child. You think they're going to have a firm understanding of what the minimum wage does to an economy? They want to kill their child in the womb. It's disgusting. Yeah, good on you, Bernie. 100% kill rate. Fantastic. Go play some Fortnite.
Which is somewhat different than Joe Biden's. And one of the issues that we have been wrestling with in Congress is not only to protect a woman's right to control her body, but to make sure that low-income women
impulsive. The poor people.
I voted to make sure that low-income women can use Medicaid to make their own choices.
Yeah, okay. So he's in favor of poor women being able to kill poor children. It's disgusting. It's disgusting. What a savage murderer this man is.
Joe Biden voted differently. So there are actually more.
There's something happening over here because these people cannot look at them. There's still some heckler or something that's happening.
More differences, but those are some. And as this becomes a two-person contest, it is important for people to look at the record and equally important to look at the vision, where we want to go.
Where do you want to go with being able to have anybody be able to murder anybody at any time?
And let me tell you where we want to go. We are going to end starvation wages in America.
Oh, gosh. Is that what they call it? That's a new term. It's a new term, starvation wages.
I got a question. How many people here who are working are earning less than $15 an hour?
Well,
we're going to raise the federal minimum wage to at least $15 an hour.
You know what? Let's real quick. I want to do some math because he's going to tax people. So he's going to tax people on this, right? So let's just do some quick math. 15. Well, if 15 times 40 a week equals 600 times 20. 600 times 4 equals 2,400 times 12. That equals $28,800. Now, he already said he's going to increase taxes on anybody making over $30,000. So if you make anywhere over $2,200 above minimum wage, you're going to get a significant tax. A significant tax as a result, just so you guys can see that. And oh, it's backwards, isn't it? Well, it's $28,800. That's what's going to happen, and he's going to increase the taxes on anybody making over $30,000. So if you're working minimum wage and you have a second job, you're giving all that second job over to the government. And this is basic math. So congratulations to all the idiots that support that. But also, when you increase the minimum wage to $15, you're forcing McDonald's and other low income or low profit items, merchants, low profit item merchants, to have to get automated systems and to hire less people. So there you go. Now, if you're asking a question, well, yeah, but people can't afford to live on $15 an hour. Well, the reason people can't afford to live on $15 an hour now is because minimum wages are already so high that the price of goods are already high. So if we get rid of the minimum wage and say force people to, or not force people, but have people take jobs that are, let's say $1 an hour or $2 an hour, the result of that, according to any basic laws of economics, is that the cost of goods are going to go down so the people making $2 an hour can afford it. Right now, when they have to pay more for labor than they're worth, cost of goods get to a point where people can't afford them. It's basic math. It's very simple.
We're going to make sure that women earn the same pay as men. We're going to make
women getting paid the same as men. This is an issue we hear all the time. Here's the thing. A man stays in his career and he perfects his career for years and years and years. Women take 9-month maternity leaves, or they leave and have a kid and they're gone from work for years. And then they come back and enter the workforce and they want the same pay as a man who's been doing it constantly. There are issues when it comes to those sort of economics. Like an employer should not have to pay a woman who's been absent from the career force for 18 years the same as someone who's been involved in the workforce for 18 years just because of their sex. It just doesn't work that way. And women who are in the workforce and don't have kids, how unfortunate that is, they are able to make as much as men. They just have to negotiate and work as hard for it. But if I'm doing construction or some physical labor job, a man who is stronger than a woman is inherently more valuable in a physical labor sort of job. That's just how God created men and women, to have these differences. So this idea that women are being paid less, even if I don't think the stats are necessarily true on that, but even if it was, my position is, so what? Who cares? Women are different than men, and men provide benefits on the job more than women in certain instances. A woman who plays professional football is not as valuable as a strong man who plays professional football. There are differences, and there's no way, if I owned an NFL team, I would allow a woman to get paid millions and millions of dollars just because she's a woman if she sucks on the field. And so that's just a fact. And so that's just
make it easier for workers to join unions. We're going to create millions of good-paying jobs, rebuilding our crumbling infrastructure. And what our campaign is about is changing national priorities. Instead of giving tax breaks to billionaires, we're going to invest in education.
Oh, more free stuff.
We believe in high-quality, affordable, universal child care. We are going to triple funding for low-income Title I schools. And because we believe in education, we believe in teachers. In our country today, we need many, many good teachers. And I hope
government should not be involved in healthcare at all, not even a bit. Healthcare, education. Government should not be involved in education. I think we need to encourage people to homeschool, even poor families. They need to be able to homeschool. We need to encourage people to create charities that provide education for poor and inner city people. And on each of those, there should be no government involvement whatsoever. I am 100% against any sort of government education. Thank you for asking.
I hope that some of the young people here will give thought to becoming teachers. We need more African American teachers.
You know how more people can become teachers? By having kids and raising them and homeschooling them. Just a thought there.
We need more Latino teachers. We need more special education teachers. And that's why I believe that no teacher in America should earn less than $60,000 a year. And when we talk about education, we have got to expand our views regarding free public education.
No, we don't. No, we don't. Not at all.
K through 12 is not good enough anymore. We need to make public colleges and universities tuition free.
Oh my gosh. Just everything's free. Make free everything.
And because we're going to have a government that represents working families and the middle class.
So think about this. Okay, think about this for a minute. He wants free healthcare, free education, Medicare for everyone, right? That's healthcare. He wants to increase the wages that people have. He just wants to provide everything for free. And he thinks that somehow that the GDP of our nation, which, by the way, is less than his packages, is somehow going to be able to provide that if we tax the wealthy. Bernie Sanders sucks at math. And actually, you know what? He probably doesn't suck at math. He probably knows that this isn't going to work, but it's gaining him a massive audience and a massive following. And so that's why I keep saying it. But any basic arithmetic, you'll realize that we don't have enough money to pay for all this. It's just insane.
Not billionaires. We're going to cancel all student debt in this country.
Whoa.
And we're going to pay for that through a modest tax on Wall Street speculation.
Of course. More taxes. So you're going to have less Wall Street speculation when you tax it, by the way.
And we believe
that's how that works.
In the need to end the international embarrassment of the United States being the only major country on earth not to guarantee health care to all people.
Oh, back at the healthcare thing again. I feel like we're talking about healthcare so much.
Every other major country, I live 50 miles away from the Canadian border. They have universal health care in the UK, in France, in Germany, in Sweden, Finland, Norway, Denmark. If every other major country can guarantee health care to all as a human right, so can the United States of America.
Terrible health care.
In America today,
that's right.
We are spending twice as much per person on health care as do the people of any other country. $11,000 for every man, woman, and child.
Julio in the chat says, I've been sick for the last couple of years. I wish that I had a lower, more affordable private insurance. The government makes everything more expensive. That's true. The reason why private health insurance is so expensive is because of the government. The reason costs are so high in the healthcare industry is because of crony capitalism, pure corruption, lobbying groups. So if you say, for example, if you were to say, the government can no longer regulate healthcare and all the regulations are gone. If you were to do that, then suddenly the cost of everything would go down. It'd be amazing. It'd be miraculous. You guys have no idea. But that's not going to happen. The government never shrinks in size without revolutions. unfortunately.
And yet, despite that huge expenditure,
but if you got rid of the regulations, you wouldn't have lobbyists anymore, because lobbyists would be useless because they wouldn't be able to pay politicians, corrupt, crooked politicians. They wouldn't be able to pay them to make laws that regulate in favor of their business, because there would just be no laws that regulated any business. So so again, the fact that the government is there is the problem.
we have 87 million Americans uninsured or underinsured. We got 30,000 people dying every year because they don't have health care. We are paying by far the highest prices in the world for prescription drugs. And we have 500,000 people last year who went bankrupt because of medically related debt.
So get the government out of the way.
And the absurdity of our current healthcare system becomes clearer when we try to deal with a crisis like the coronavirus. Can you imagine people today in America who are sick? They're wondering whether or not they have this virus, and they cannot afford to go to a doctor. That is bad for that person, obviously. It is bad for all of us. Healthcare is a human right.
People can get health care from other ways besides the government paying for it. Just a thought.
And everyone in this country, including the undocumented, have a right toward health care. And that is why we are going to take on the drug companies and their corruption and their price fixing. That is why we're going to take on the insurance companies, and we are going to pass a Medicare for all single-payer program. Donald Trump, who, as you know,
do they have applause signs and boo signs?
Has described himself as a great genius, one of the foremost scientists in the world, a man who knows everything about every issue. Our great genius president thinks that climate change is a hoax. Well, I happen to think that Donald Trump is a hoax.
Climate change. These people.
And
by the way, I'm absolutely miserable listening to this garbage. Like, this is not fun. Like at least a Democratic debate has moments where it's fun. This is absolutely gut-wrenchingly terrible, and I hate listening to it every moment of this. So I really hope you guys in the chat are enjoying this, because this is absolute torture for me. It's just listening to these people cheer every single thing without thinking, without any sort of thought, without any sort of understanding of how the government functions and where money comes from, any basic level economics. I'm not an economist, but there's and I'm really terrible at math, but there's very basic arithmetic that I know. And Bernie's arithmetic doesn't add up. It just doesn't add up. What did they say? His healthcare was going to be GDP of the United States. So the GDP of the United States, I think he said it was going to be like $60 to $70 trillion. Yeah. Okay. So the GDP of the United States is $19 trillion. How on earth do you see people paying for 19 it's backwards on the screen, I get that, but you can see $19.39 trillion, and he thinks that he's going to be able to pay for the entire universal health care by taxing the top 1% of that 19.39? Like, this isn't very hard at all. This isn't very difficult. It's very, very basic, and it's just, I mean, how are you going to pay for that? That's in 1 year. That's in 1 year. That's a GDP of 2017. Well, like, even if you took Amazon and Apple, which are the wealthiest companies, they're valued at $1 trillion, say, right? On a good day in the stock market, they're valued at $1 trillion. So you could tax them 100%, and you're only going to get $2 trillion. Like, it doesn't make any sense. And the fact that these people are just cheering this stuff on and on is just really ridiculous. It's silly. And you're just going to pay for everything. You're just going to, no, you're not. You're not going to pay for everything. There's not enough money in the United States to be able to do it.
Promise to you.
And that's just really basic rudimentary math. So it's really hard to hear people. It makes me really sad to hear people just cheer every single stat, every single thing he says. Every time he pauses for applause, people applaud. And they don't think about it. They don't use common sense. They don't have any idea what they're talking about or what they're cheering for. They don't even know. A 30-second Google search can show you that this is just impossible. It's just impossible.
Is that our administration will believe in science. And we will listen to the scientists. And what the scientists are telling us is that climate change is real. It is caused by human activity. It is already causing devastating problems in our country and around the world. And what they are also telling us is the situation is more dire than they had previously thought. So what we are going to do is to pass a Green New Deal. Which will create millions of good-paying union jobs as we transform our energy system away from fossil fuel to energy efficiency and sustainable energy.
Get out of here.
And by the way, Arizona should be one of the leaders in this country in solar energy.
I guarantee you that in the summer there's not enough solar. There's not enough solar at all to be able to cover that sort of stuff. There's just the amount of energy that Arizona requires to be able to create air conditioning in the summer is not going to be covered by solar. But here's the thing: when we talk about green energy, I actually support green energy. I think battery-powered cars, electric cars, are fantastic. I think any sort of system that helps a business save money on electric bills is good, but not necessarily because it helps the environment, but it's profitable naturally. Naturally, any way that's going to devise people to spend less money on electricity or fuel is helpful. And I think that businesses would go green naturally if there was a demand for it economically. It just makes sense. It makes sense that somebody who spends, this is why you see this with Uber, for example, somebody who spends a lot of money on gas in their cars. The people that do Uber a lot, you'll notice that they have hybrid cars. They have hybrid cars because it saves them money on gas. And they're not doing it to go green. They're doing it because it financially rewards and benefits them. And that's why businesses are going to go green. And as a Christian, we're to be stewards over the environment. So we should want to go green as well. The problem I have when we talk about going green is the government forcing people to, or taxing people if they don't. That to me is a problem and a concern that I have, because then you create an artificial market for electricity, the green energy, and that artificial market is not helpful because it doesn't give you a true price. When a company knows that they can charge more money for solar panels because you're going to get a tax credit, and then they can use that tax credit to sell to you, you're not getting the true value of solar panels at that point. You're getting a false number. And so the government creates artificial economic systems that increase the prices of these things in ways that they shouldn't be. And again, this is basic math.
And because we understand that climate change is not just an American issue, but a global issue, as president, I will reach out to the people of China and Russia and Pakistan and India, because we are all in this together. And maybe, just maybe,
I'm gonna flip my display. I think I'll be okay. I don't think this is a copyrighted stream, but I want people to be able to see like these comments that are coming up right in the corner, because I think it's really sad. Live comments, a Green New Deal.
maybe instead of spending 1.8 trillion a year on weapons of destruction designed to kill each other,
I agree. We should not spend that much money.
maybe we should pool our resources and fight our common enemy,
Weaponry.
which is climate change.
No. How about we just don't spend the money at all?
And when we talk about issues in this country that must be dealt with, we are going to bring major reform to a broken and racist criminal justice system.
Well, that is true. Our criminal justice system is broken, and it does. The criminal justice system does benefit. It does hurt poor minorities, and a lot of that would be because of drug laws, criminalizing marijuana, criminalizing heroin, all those sort of things are problems. But also because prisons exist. I personally don't believe prisons should exist. If a crime is not worthy of the death penalty, then it shouldn't be a crime. Or if it's a crime in which there can be restitution between the criminal and the victim, then they should just do that on their own, and the government should come in and make sure that that happens. So, for example, if I steal money from you, I should pay that money back. If I have a car and I get in a car accident and it's my fault, then I should pay for the costs of your car. That's restitution. But it shouldn't go to prison because I got in an accident, unless I've gotten into several accidents and killed a lot of people. And at that point, I should get the death penalty for being irresponsible. And all these principles you can see in Scripture from the general equity of God's law, from Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, and Deuteronomy. Genesis not really so much, but Exodus, Numbers, Leviticus, and Deuteronomy for sure. You're going to get a basic understanding of a really incredibly libertarian view of government. And that is the standard we should use for our prison systems. It is not humane to lock someone in a cage, a human being in a cage. It is not humane. Just think about how prison damages families. When the Bible says that you can't get a divorce for any reason, death is one way to break up a marriage, biblically. If a man is stuck in prison for all his life, the woman is not free to remarry. So prison destroys families. It's awful. The father cannot be a protector and a provider. It's just a terrible system. So we have to get rid of prison system. We have to get rid of the prison system. It's just something that has to be done. But Bernie's plan is not to get rid of the prison system. It's to reform it. And that's going to cost more money. It's going to create even more problems. So because when the government is involved in those sort of things, it creates a massive financial debt that we just can't afford. So we can't afford his prison reforms. We can't afford his health care. We can't afford free education. We can't afford any of that stuff. But Bernie thinks we can, because Bernie is bad at math.
We don't want to have more people in jail today than any other country on earth, including China.
Yes,
that is why we are going to invest in our young people, in jobs and education, not more jails and incarceration. It is why we are going to end private prisons and detention centers.
That's a good idea. Let's end private prisons.
And it's why we are going to end the so-called war on drugs.
That's good too. I'm a fan.
This war on drugs has been extremely destructive to people in this country, especially African American community, Latino community, Native American community.
James says, the way I see that the prison issue is you do the crime, you pay the time. It's more incentive to not be a criminal. Well, James, imagine for a moment that somebody steals $1,000 from you. And they have to go to prison for, let's say, 2 years. Now, it costs the average prisoner maybe $50,000 a year to be in prison, to get food, to get the health care that they need. $50,000 a year. So you're going to put on the taxpayers $100,000 because somebody stole $1,000 from you. Who becomes who are you punishing at that point? Because at that point, you're punishing the taxpayers for the crime of another individual, because they're having to pay for the prison system of another person. It's just a bad system. It's awful. It's not just at all.
Now, it turns out, as you know, there are some things a president can do with executive order, other things you need legislation. Turns out that one thing you can do with an executive order is to legalize marijuana in every state in this country.
I have a question about that. I'd be interested, maybe somebody can do the research on this. If he's right, that with an executive order he can decriminalize marijuana, can he also end Roe v. Wade? Because the ability for states to regulate drugs went up to the Supreme Court. And that Supreme Court decision essentially said that the federal government could punish those who do drugs from a federal position. But it'd be interesting if he could federally decriminalize it. Can a president also end Roe v. Wade federally? That'd be an interesting question. I'm curious as to his position on that, because it would seem to me that the federal government then could stop abortion. Interesting. I'd be curious about those details. And no, James, if you let criminals, no one's saying that we should let criminals go free for $1,000 because they stole $1,000. What we're saying is that they should pay that $1,000 back plus some. And that way nobody goes to prison. Because right now, if you steal $1,000, and I'm speaking from experience here, somebody stole a cell phone of mine that was valued at about $1,000. They might go to jail, and then I have to pay for them to be in jail. But guess what? I don't ever get that money back. There's no restitution. They don't have to pay me back. And I was told by the judge that I would never see that money ever again. So there's that. That is so much for justice there. Look at this comment they put up. Legalize weed.
And what we will also
Someone on the Bernie campaign selected that day,
is
Pierre,
to
by the way.
try to expunge the
subscribe to
records
Kecko.
of those arrested for marijuana. You know, it costs more money to lock somebody up in a prison than to send them to the University of Arizona. I think we got to stop locking people up and get them the education that they need. And when we talk about ending broken and racist systems...
Someone in the chat said we should legalize marijuana so Bernie supporters are so high on November 8th they don't go out and vote. Great
We're
point.
going to fight for a complete overhaul of our immigration system. I am the proud son of an immigrant. My father came to this country without a nickel in his pocket, couldn't speak a word of English, and had very little education. I will not accept the continued demonization of the immigrant community. And
yeah, here's the cheers.
on day one, we will sign an executive order to restore the legal status of the 1.8 million young people eligible for DACA. We will end a border policy that allows federal agents to snatch babies from the arms of their mothers. And we will pass what should have been passed decades ago: bipartisan, comprehensive immigration reform and a path toward citizenship. All of us, no matter what our political point of view may be, are horrified by the level of gun violence that exists in this country. We are sick and tired of mass shootings of 40,000 people a year losing their lives because of guns. So my promise to you is that our gun safety legislation will be the most sweeping gun safety legislation in the history of this country. Trump and the Republican leadership are intimidated by the NRA. We will not be intimidated by the NRA. We will pass universal background checks. People who have violent pasts, including domestic violence, should not own guns. We are going to do away with the gun show loophole.
Scary stuff, taking away your guns.
And we will do what the American people want:
stuff.
End the sale and distribution of assault weapons in this country.
Frightening.
Right now in America, women are under political assault all over this country. You know, and as a United States Senator, I hear a lot of speeches on the floor of the Senate from conservative Republicans who tell us they believe in small government and getting the government off the backs of the American people. That's what they say. And I say to those hypocrites, if you believe in getting the government off the backs of the American people, understand that it is women who have a right to control their own bodies, not the government.
Murder your children. That's what he's in favor of, murdering children. It's disgusting and revolting.
And my promise to you is I will never nominate anybody for the Supreme Court or the federal bench who is not 100% pro Roe v. Wade.
Scary. Scary, scary, scary stuff.
We're going to move to codify, put Roe v. Wade into law.
Ah, there it is. See, okay, I have to bring this up. This is very, very important. And every time they say this, I have to bring it up. Democrats always speak about how they have to codify Roe v. Wade into a law. It's a very interesting statement because the way a lot of pro-life organizations function is as if Roe v. Wade is already the law of the land. So my question is, if Roe v. Wade is the law of the land, why do Democrats feel they need to codify it? And the reason is, this is very simple, the Supreme Court does not make laws. There are no laws that protect Roe v. Wade. It's just assumed. And so a state at any moment can defy Roe v. Wade because it's not a federal law. They can say that they don't agree with that court decision, and they don't have to implement abortion laws into their state. And this is just basic government 101. This is information I learned in government middle school when I was in the 6th grade, and I learned about the 3 branches of government: the judicial, executive, and legislative. When you learn about these 3 branches of government, you know that the judicial branch, which is the Supreme Court, does not make laws. So this is why Bernie Sanders is saying he needs to codify Roe v. Wade into a law to protect it from being overturned. So at any moment, we can overturn Roe v. Wade. We just need a state that says we're not going to allow abortion in our state anymore. That's all it takes. It's very, very simple.
Trump and his friends want to cut funding for Planned Parenthood. Well, we've got some bad news for them. We're going to expand funding for Planned Parenthood.
Scary. I don't like it.
What this campaign is about is not only defeating Donald Trump, it is fighting for a political revolution. And what our campaign is about right now is understanding that real change never takes place from the top on down, always from the bottom on up.
Sounds like a libertarian when you say stuff like that, isn't it?
So what our campaign is about, it's not just a political campaign, it's about a movement of people. It is a multi-generational, multi-racial movement of African Americans.
I'm bored. So just if there's anybody in the chat that agrees with Bernie Sanders and would like to maybe call in, you could join my Discord. And if I'll pull that up actually while we're waiting for this, I'll play this and I'll pull up my Discord. And then if you want to join the Discord, you can. And you can tell me why you think Bernie Sanders is a great choice for president, and we'll have that discussion. It'll be friendly and gracious, and you can see some of the past discussions I've had to do that. But
Americans,
I'll go ahead and pull that
Latinos,
up
whites,
while we're listening
Native
to him.
Americans, Asian Americans. It is about people coming together and demanding a nation and a government and an economy that works for all, not just the few. But what a political revolution means is it cannot succeed if you all are not actively involved in it. And as you know, the message of our campaign is us, not me. And that message means two things. It means that we understand that the...
Sai says he looks like Mr. Burns from The Simpsons. I just lost the feed. Oh, that's because it's over. Oh, well. Stream ended 21 minutes ago. Okay. Well, that's fun. Well, I guess that's over. I'm willing to have a conversation and talk to some people, especially if there's any Bernie supporters. I'd really like to talk to some Bernie supporters. It looks like Ed just entered the Discord. I don't know where you stand, but if you add me as a friend, Ed, and you want to talk, I will bring you on. So you can add me as a friend, Ed, King Ginger, in the Discord. And if you want, we can chat if that's why you entered. If not, don't worry about it. So there's that. If anybody else would be willing to want to enter the Discord, feel free. If you go to youtube.com/crimerightsmedia and you go in the chat, you can see that there. And we're having a good. We're gonna have a good time. We'll talk, and I'll hang around and chat with people for a little bit. See if anybody comes in. If they do, they do. If they don't, they don't. Grant's telling me Justin Amash might run for the Libertarian Party. That would be awesome. I'd like to see a Libertarian that actually has leverage. The Libertarian Party is just trash. Okay. So somebody, it looks like Ed is going to join. Ed, you're going to add this. You're gonna add this on your phone. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take a quick bathroom break, and then when I come back, I'll get in touch with Ed, and we'll have a live discussion with him. So that should be fun. So just give me about 60 seconds, and I'll be right back. All right. I am back. I am back. Ed, did you send me a friend request? about this? It says you're offline, Ed. Is it Ed Wayne 2491? Is that you? Just let me know. Send me a private message, and we will get on with this. I'll set up the Discord so we can do that. And if you wanna come on video, we can do that too. Just let me know, and I'll set it up. But either way, sweet. So that's you. So I'm gonna add you as a friend. And then I'm just gonna send you a voice. See if you answer. This is the fun part, right? This is the time where we wait for people. Hey, are you there? Yeah, I can hear you. Go ahead and talk for me. Make sure my levels are good. Yeah. Go ahead and just talk for me so we can make sure that people can hear you. I can hear you, but actually, just give me 1 second. And okay, are you there?
Yeah.
Okay, now we can hear you. Awesome.
Cool.
So, are you a Bernie supporter?
No, definitely not a Bernie supporter.
Oh,
I
that's
didn't.
no fun. No, I'm just kidding. What's up, man? Why'd you call in?
I'm sorry?
I said, why'd you call in? What's up?
Oh, I just wanted to comment. I just wanted to make I don't have a lot of time. I just wanted to make a brief comment about Bernie Sanders.
Sure. Go
And
ahead.
so I'm pretty passionate about the abortion issue. And one of the things that really bothers me is that it's all simplified to them. It's, her body, her choice. And there's absolutely no complication of what is her body and what is the child's body. And I'm not necessarily against abortion in all cases. I do believe before a certain point, I'm not a nut job who well, personally, I don't believe in abortion at all. I don't think anyone should be getting an abortion. But on a legal level, I think that before a certain point, there's a legal thing where I don't think that it's necessarily smart to, outlaw in all cases. But after, what I would say is I would say 3 months is my cutoff. After 3 months, I don't think anything should be.
Do you think it's a human
legal.
before 3 months?
Yeah, I do think it is. Well, I personally think it's a human, but at a legal level, I don't know if that's the right way to go. Just because there are certain cases in which I think abortions not should be done, but can be done, if that makes sense. That they should be legal to be able to be done.
Well, I mean, technically, you can do abortions up to 9 months in most places.
Yeah, that's a problem.
But my question would be, what's the difference? You said it's just a legal differentiation. So what does that mean? Like,
I don't know how you would. First of all, I don't know how you would enforce it. Would you, if someone had an abortion, say abortion was all illegal, and somebody had an abortion, and you found out, and they were, say, arrested because obviously it was illegal, they would be arrested.
Correct.
Would they be charged with similar crimes as if they killed someone, if they went in a back alley and killed someone versus going in a back alley?
Yeah.
Yeah, and so if you take that position, I think that's a consistent position, and I applaud you for being consistent. But I'm not.
Well, I guess you're not consistent then. Thanks for the.
Well, I don't know if that's. I do. I think being consistent is important, but I think in this case like that, it's hard to say we should then give the death penalty to a woman who had an abortion when she found out she was pregnant. I think that's the completely it's a moral difference between doing that and someone who shot someone in a back alley. It's just a moral difference.
Where's that moral difference come from?
Well, from I would say the development of the baby or the fetus or whatever you want to call it.
So the level of development is what makes someone worthy of their life being protected?
No.
So what about a baby that was born and he didn't have arms and legs? He wasn't fully developed when he was born. Is it okay to kill it then?
Well, I don't believe it's okay to ever kill a baby after it's born or before it's born. Just like I said, I'm completely against abortion.
Legally.
Yes. Yeah. Legal. Like personally, as a personal level, I think life begins at conception. I believe, but from an enforcement standpoint and a practical standpoint, from the government, I don't see how you would implement. Besides actually going and giving the death penalty or life in prison for women who do this. Mm-hmm. That would be what you would have to do if you were to be consistent and say abortion is murder.
I would say that for sure. Any woman who has an abortion should get the death penalty.
Like I said, I respect that, and I think that's a completely consistent and logical and respectable position to have. But the problem is that you talk to some of these people, and they'll say, oh, that's not wrong. That's wrong. There are people even that are more pro-life than me who would say, oh, well, in cases of rape and incest, it's okay to have an abortion. Yeah, and to me, here's a big issue I have. I don't buy that because, and maybe I agree with you here, because a life is a life, in my opinion. The context in which a baby was conceived is irrelevant, in the same way that the context in which a human being lives is irrelevant. So if it doesn't really matter if you're somewhere and two cousins have a baby together, and that baby is not less of a human because its parents happen to be cousins, or a brother, you say, rapes a sister and they have a baby. That baby didn't choose. That baby had absolutely no say in how it was conceived.
Right. Neither did the ones that are conceived before 3 months. But so here would be, because I think you're asking more of an enforcement question, even though you would say that it's morally repugnant. My thing is that there's going to be women who have abortions. If abortion is legal, there's going to be women that have abortions all the way through 9 months. It's still going to happen. But the thing is, though, if abortion is illegal and worthy of the death penalty, there is going to be a fear of people actually having abortions. So if you say, well, I'm against abortion, but at 3 months we probably shouldn't enforce it, you're gonna have people having abortions at 3 months, just no matter what. It might be in the back alleys, of course, but they're still gonna have those abortions because they're on a higher level than if there was the government was implementing some sort of a fear-based system. And so my thing is, if the government were to say death penalty abortions no matter what time, you're gonna have people that say, "Oops, I had a miscarriage," right? And really they had an abortion. But you're not gonna.
There's also accidental abortions. There are people who are pregnant and they don't know they're pregnant and they engage in certain behavior. Like I'm going to try to think of an example.
Right, of course, but there would, of course.
So is that manslaughter then? Would you prosecute someone for manslaughter?
If
for that,
it would just depend. If they, it would just depend. See, the issue is, I would rather say make it illegal all the way through 9 months, and then let the court decide what they thought of it.
I think I could get behind something like that. I think
that's how it would be anyway, right? Like, because there has to be. Yeah. But what you're gonna do is, if you make it illegal all the way through 9 months, the people that have, let's say, abortions at 2 months, they're not going to be bragging about it in the streets. They're not going to be holding up signs that say, "I've had so and so many abortions." But you will have that if you set a time and say, well, it's not illegal at this point. You're going to have people brag about their abortions at 3 months or whatever, or you're going to have people lie about how old they really were when they had an abortion. So I would much rather side on, if someone is caught having an abortion, have them go to trial, have them get due process, get a lawyer. They're innocent until proven guilty, and then let the courts make that decision. So I think you see that in Scripture. If you, I don't know if you base your source of law. I don't know where you base your source of law, but I base.
Well, I'm a natural lawyer, I guess I would consider myself. I think that Scripture is almost perfectly based in natural law, or the two. I would say I consider myself Christian. I do think that a lot of Scripture has a basis in natural law ideas and stuff like that.
So I would go to an objective law that is found in Scripture. So, for example, in the Bible, you see that if two men are fighting and they injure a woman who's pregnant and that baby dies, then they receive the death penalty for that baby. So there's a death penalty for the death of a child in the womb in Scripture. And so that's where I would base my source of law. I don't think natural law gives us everything we need to know in terms. And then when you go to natural law, you start to get crazy ideas about.
Yeah, no, I agree. But I do, and I was just listening before when you were talking about the prisons, and I wholeheartedly agree that, first of all, we shouldn't have prisons. They cost, like you said, that just a pure cost. I don't even think we should even have, I'm not even sure we should even have trials for a lot of things, where someone is convicted for the death penalty and it takes 25 years to kill them. That doesn't make sense to me. To me, it's like, well, a bullet costs 45 cents. Take them around back behind the courthouse. Get a firing squad. I mean, there is plenty of people all around the country.
The Scripture offers protections for that too. So if somebody is falsely accused of a crime and they get the death penalty, then the people who falsely accuse them, they get the death penalty too.
And I agree.
There's all sorts of protections within Scripture. And where are you from, Matt? Ed, where are you from?
Well, I'm originally from Texas.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, so yeah, I think for the most part, man, I think, I would argue that just because something seems hard to enforce doesn't mean it shouldn't be enforced. Because
but I would agree with you that the law, I guess I should have clarified, and the law should be set a certain way. Like abortion should be, I believe in overturning Roe v. Wade. Mm-hmm. But I think that some of that stuff needs to be worked out in the court, and it's not just a simple matter. All I was trying to say was it's not a simple matter of if you had an abortion in all cases, you should be given the death penalty. I think there's a slight bit of gray area where it's just from a practical standpoint, we have to have an open mind and consider each case, if that makes sense.
Well, yeah, I absolutely agree with you that we should consider each case. So I'm not opposed to considering each case, but if they are found guilty, then they should get the death penalty.
No, and I agree. I think that if someone has abortion, that's no different than killing someone. If you knowingly kill your child that's inside of you, the fact that child's inside of you is no different than if that child is outside of your body.
Yeah. And when we talk about making abortion illegal, we're absolutely talking about in those instances. Obviously, there could be, somebody might be doing something stupid or reckless, and they hurt their child. And if it's a genuine accident, the Bible allows for those allotments too. But also, if they're continually stupid and reckless, the Bible says they should be punished. So like you said, like in those instances of like, well, what's happening here? We absolutely should have due process and a fair trial. But ultimately, if they're found guilty, they should be put to death. And so even if it's at 2 months or 1 month old or whatever, that's my opinion on this. It was really good talking to you, Ed. Thank you for joining. I really appreciate it. It means a lot. And
I enjoy your streams.
Thanks, man. Thanks for subscribing, man. Really appreciate it.
All right, I'll see you later.
Okay, thanks, man.
Yep.
All right, that was fun. see, we can have disagreements, and we can be friendly, and gracious, and those sort of things, and just if you're in the YouTube chat and you want to come on, I'll just add the Discord again. You can come into the chat and you can add King Ginger as a friend, and I will send you a call. Just let me know you want to talk, and we will have this conversation or whatever. Hopefully, if there'd be some Bernie supporters, that would be interesting and fun. And so, hey, maybe you disagree with Ed. Maybe you want to come on and you thought I was too nice to him. You're more than welcome to, even if you like what I say most of the time and you thought I was too nice to him, feel free to come on, join the Discord, enter the Discord, shall we say, and we will have a discussion over those sort of things. But that was a lot of fun. See, this is why I like having these discussions. I like having these talks after. That's why I do these debates. It's because it gets you to be able to interact with people you normally wouldn't be able to interact with. And because of that, we're able to have these sort of conversations afterwards. It's sort of like a really good way to get to meet people with a bunch of differing views and stuff like that. And so that was a lot of fun. I have a feeling a lot of people are going to disagree with the way I spoke with Ed about that subject, and that's probably okay. And I'm willing to admit that I might have been wrong. I should have been way more harsh. But I do believe in due process in Scripture. That's ultimately what I was trying to say, is that in Scripture, there should be due process. There should be witnesses. There should be evidence, and each situation requires that, even if it's difficult at 3 months, even if the earlier, obviously, the baby's conceived, and the earlier the abortion happens, the harder it is to punish women who do that. It doesn't mean we should not have the due process at all. It should still be illegal, and the fact that it is illegal is going to make women less likely to publicly admit those sort of things. And the good of that is that evil should be done in the darkness. Evil should not be flaunted on the streets. You should not have people cheering at a Bernie Sanders rally over the fact that they can kill their child. That should not happen. And it won't happen if you have a situation, if abortion is made illegal. That's just not that's not going to happen. Not at all. So let's see. Looks like John Doe says, should you be smoking after having heart surgery? Thanks, John. My heart is fine. Appreciate the input. I am doing really well. Brand new heart valves, probably better heart valves than most people at my age now. But thank you. And also, it's not really smoking. Vaping is not really smoking. That's a whole different conversation. But if you want to have a conversation with it, you can feel free to join the Discord and we can have that conversation. I'm totally okay with that. Works for me. So I'll give it a few more minutes, see if anybody wants to enter the Discord. The link is in the YouTube chat. I don't have it available in terms of the Facebook chat. I don't know. You know what? I'll post it in the Facebook chat and see if we get any takers in the Facebook chat. Even though they refuse to come over to YouTube, I'll still allow them the ability, I guess. So this is a Discord link. Right there. And here's the Discord link right here. So now Facebook has the Discord links. And so if anybody wants to join, you can join the Discord. And in the Discord, you can add me as a friend. You'll see me in there. And then you can just voice chat with me. If you don't have video or something, that's fine. You don't have to have video. You can just voice chat with me. Whatever. Works for me. But this has been really great. It's awesome to Mondo357 says Trump 2020. So thanks for entering the chat, Mondo. Again, if you wanna debate me, if you think Bernie Sanders is going to be a great president, and you disagree that I think he's a terrible socialist, feel free to enter the Discord and let me know. But this has been a fantastic time. I really enjoyed being able to hang out with you guys and even talk with Ed. That was a lot of fun. That's really my favorite part about doing these things now, is doing these sort of conversations with people, because so often when we talk about politics, you'll hear, like, let's say, like, whether it's like Rush Limbaugh or Sean Hannity's show or something like that, when people call in, they're screened. There's all these, it's very, very quick and fast. The people don't get a lot of time to be able to really engage their position. So one of the things I like to do is I like to actually have a conversation with people and take my time and let them speak and do those sort of things. So that's a lot of fun. It looks like somebody, Hawkeye, just entered the Discord. So if he wants to chat, just type in the Discord that you want to chat, and I'll bring you on. We shall chat if that's what you want to do, or you might just be observing the Discord. That's fine too. There's another person that just joined. Deathbed Nietzsche. Oh, interesting. That's an interesting name. I don't think that's a pro Nietzsche quote name, but it's always interesting, people's Discord names. They're always far more interesting. So yeah, so if you're in a chat and you want to talk, just send a message in the chat and I'll bring you in. Okay. Oh, there's a Bernie supporter, Hawkeye. Hawkeye, I'm going to voice chat with you now. If that's what you already sent me the message, so I'm just gonna go ahead. Did you want a video chat, or how did you want to do this? You let me know. It's up to you. I'll just send you a message real quick. Boom, 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 bow, 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 bow. I need to have like some like music that's not copyrighted while we're just waiting, that we can just bob our heads to while we're waiting for people. I have found that people are incredibly slow at replying to Discord messages from doing this. while we're waiting for Hawkeye to answer, maybe I just need to just call him because he wanted to do it. So let's see if this works. So Hawkeye, talking to Hawkeye right now. See if he comes on. Hawkeye.
What's up?
Hey, how are you doing, man? You're a Bernie supporter?
Yeah.
Explain to me. Well, first of all, what state are you from?
I'm from Arizona.
Oh, okay. Were you at the rally?
No.
Oh, okay. Were you at the Trump rally?
Definitely not.
Okay. Just curious. You know, you never know. You could have been in the protest section, but
I guess, yeah.
So what? Why Bernie Sanders? What's your basis for Bernie?
I mean, I just like his overall message, and that he's trying to look out for, working people, and not just the corporate elite and the rich. Yeah. Even someone like Joe Biden is just a centrist, status quo person who's not going to get anything changed or anything done. So I feel like he's the only option to get anything kind of going differently in this country.
What would you say is wrong with the working class? Like what problems are they facing right now?
I mean, it just seems like, they say the economy is so great and all that right now, but it seems like, regular people who aren't making, who just make a regular amount of money aren't doing as well as they make it seem. And just in general, just the way the country's been always, like we don't have healthcare for everybody when pretty much every country or every other country in the world has it, which why can't we do the same thing? Why do we pay such exorbitant costs and do all that when we don't need to do that?
Well, I would argue that the government is the reason why the costs are so high, because the government is involved in the medical industry tremendously. FDA regulations, FDA approval on new medications, those sort of things raise up the cost tremendously, not to mention the crony capitalism that exists between insurance companies and the government, if you were to get rid of the government, when it comes to healthcare, you wouldn't have to worry about these sort of things, like lobbyists, corrupt lobbyists and stuff, because lobbyists would be out of work because there's no law that they can lobby for, because the government wouldn't make laws when it comes to that sort of things. But my question for you is, why do you think it's okay to take money from wealthy people and give it to others? Why is that okay? Why is that sort of...
I would say it's necessarily okay to just take money from wealthy people to give to others in that sense.
That's what taxes is, right? Like it's...
Yes, that is what taxes. I just think that they should be paying more of a fair share of the given the amount of money they have, especially things like corporations like Amazon paying no taxes at all. That makes no sense. There's a whole bunch of money, that could benefit the country and everyone as a whole if they were to be taxed like they should be.
Well, their company's only worth $1 trillion, so that's not really a lot of money. In terms
that's kind of a lot.
Well, in terms of the GDP.
Right, but if you took all of the corporations that have those kinds of tax breaks, and there's just lots of different things that could be changed in that kind of system where it seems to benefit the wealthy more so than everyday Americans.
Why, instead of taking money from the wealthy, who are paying $0 in taxes, why don't you stop taxing the middle class and the poor altogether too? Why don't we just stop with the taxation?
Because that wouldn't be fair or make any sense. We need taxes to provide certain necessary things.
For what? What do we need taxes for?
Roads and infrastructure. I mean, there's obviously all sorts of things that
can't build roads and infrastructure.
No, not in the same way that government can, because that's something that everybody needs to use. That's something that everyone needs. So like to have private industry control that, where there's a profit motive involved with that, it's just there's too much that can go wrong with that when there's only that profit motive and no kind of regulation at all. They can just run with it.
Everybody needs roads, but everybody needs food, but the private industry is able to feed the public. Are you saying that private industry can't build roads? I mean, they built smartphones and silicon chips and transistors and all sorts of amazing things that allow me to be able to talk to you. You know what I mean? Like they've done.
No, I get what you mean. Yeah, that's true. You're right, but
I highly doubt that private industry isn't capable of solving the problem of infrastructure.
It's not that they couldn't do it. I just feel like in order to, roads are something that's needed in everywhere, and it's something that has to be all-reaching. And I feel like if government is able to coordinate that, it's more likely than private industry. Like there's no one private industry that could coordinate the whole building all the roads and maintaining all the roads in the entire country, unless it was some huge monopoly.
Not one private industry, but I'm sure several private industries.
But even several private companies, how would they coordinate that to make sure every area in the state in the country is taken care of? That would just be really hard to coordinate without something like the government in order to help coordinate it.
It can't be harder than one company being able to serve up years and years of video every hour, like YouTube does. I mean, that's a pretty massive challenge on its own if you think about it. But private industry has been able to do those sort of things. They've been able to solve those sort of problems. So I don't think that the government, there are tons of roads already in the United States that are private. There's private toll roads,
right?
And there's other options for privatized roads as well.
Which a toll road you have to pay to use, which is also
that's okay, because they get people would have a lot more money if they weren't being taxed to build the roads. But also there's ways to build roads that are advertising based. For example, the people who build the roads could put up billboards every mile or however they want to do it.
Right, but do you really want to have I guess they could do that, but is that something you really want to live with?
Why? Why? We already live with it on Facebook. And
I guess, but it just
it works, and advertising is able to keep YouTube afloat. I mean, if you think about that just in terms of complexity, but I don't think the solution is stealing from people because you don't like the fact they make more money than you.
I don't think it's stealing from people. I think that's not the right term to use it.
You're taking money from people.
You can't call taxation theft. I mean, at least in my opinion, that is just not. That's not theft. Because especially for people who make not that much money. You do a tax return at the end of the year, and you end up pretty much getting back everything that they took. But most of it, and it's you're not even getting taxed much in the end.
I'm getting taxed a lot. I don't make a lot of money, but I'm getting taxed a lot. I have to pay taxes every time I buy something, and then I get the income tax taken out, and then I get.
Okay, well I meant more on
taxes.
like that's more on your paycheck, because you get the tax return, which then that's a large portion of
Not
what you
all
even
of
were
it.
taking. No, not all of it, but still, I don't think taxation is theft to begin with. Like I think that taxation serves a necessary.
Let me ask you this question: do you think that people's
function.
do you think that people that earn money, that money they earn is their money?
Yeah, of course, but like
So
but
you're
taxes is like a.
But yeah,
What?
but the taxes is coming from their money. So
Right,
you're
because they're
taking their
contributing
money.
to. Because they're contributing to.
What if I homeschool my kids and I don't want to contribute to public education? Can I get that money back?
I mean, you could do that, but that seems and to me, you could homeschool your kids, but why would you not want to contribute taxes to the rest of society to help benefit society while everyone else is?
Because I could take that money, instead of giving it to taxes, I could give that money to my church and have them pay for the education or educate kids, and not do it through the government.
Well, that's because you, I guess, would assume churches to be an adequate form of teaching people, which I would completely disagree with. But that's why.
Do you think it's immoral for people not to pay their taxes?
I mean, that's kind of a weird question. I don't know if it's necessarily a moral issue, paying taxes, but I think that if it's something that's.
Do you think that the amount of profit that Amazon makes is immoral?
I think considering they pay no taxes, then that's not right. Like they shouldn't be able to make the profits they make and not contribute to the society. That just doesn't make any sense.
Yeah,
they don't.
Do you think it's immoral for people to not contribute to society?
I mean, somewhat, I guess. Yeah, because you think if you benefit all of society, that helps everybody. So like that should be.
Where do you get what makes something moral or immoral? Where do you base your morality on? Like what makes something right or wrong?
Well, for me, because I'm not religious in any way, so I don't base my beliefs on the Bible or anything like that, because I don't think that's a reliable source to base beliefs on. For me, it's just knowing what's right and wrong. When you're a decent person, you know things that, what's being shitty, stealing from people, lying, you don't do those things because they're wrong, not because the Bible tells you shouldn't do it. You do it because it makes you feel shitty, and you don't want to feel shitty, so you live your life in a way that doesn't cause that.
Well, I mean, what about a rapist who feels good after rape?
Well, those people are obviously fucked in the head. So
but it doesn't make them feel shitty.
Again, because those people are not right in the head. Those are sociopathic people.
So whether or not you feel shitty is not your standard for morality. That doesn't work all the time, because sometimes people feel really good about stealing, or people feel really good about raping or child pornography. Makes people feel really good. That's why they do it.
Right. And unfortunately, there's no way to control that and to change those types of people. Those people exist, and that's just the way that those people are, unfortunately.
Yeah, but
having something like the Bible or something to try and change them isn't going to do any good.
What makes what they do immoral versus not doing it moral? That's what I'm asking you. Because
I think just being a decent person and having a normal moral compass.
But how do you define what a decent person is, or what the moral compass points to? How do you do that without some sort of objective standard?
I guess just through knowing I don't know. I mean, I guess you have a good question, and I can't fully answer it, but I don't agree that the Bible is a good, source to do that with, but I think it's just something that people have to kind of decide for themselves. But yeah, like your point said, there's people out there who think raping people is fine and don't feel bad about it, and you're right, and that's shitty.
But you have no basis to say that it's shitty.
Well, yeah, of course I do. Of course, anybody, because that's a disgusting thing to do. And if you're a decent person, you recognize that. Right, but those aren't fucking normal people. Normal people don't think rape. Any normal, decent human being, regardless of your religion or whatever, knows raping someone is a horrible thing to do.
Well, that's because every human being is created in the image of God, and God has given them that knowledge of right and wrong. That's objective and universal and unchanging throughout all time and history.
Okay, see, if that were true, though, then those rapists that don't see anything wrong with what they do would have that same thing, and they don't, because that's not the truth, because people are different. And there's no image of God that we were created in. That's why there's all sorts of different people.
I would argue that the rapist knows what they're doing is wrong, but they do it anyway because they hate God and they refuse to submit to him.
Because they hate God. That's the reason they do it.
Yes.
Okay, that's no. I don't, especially if it's a rapist like me who doesn't care much about religion. I'm not a rapist, but if let's say I was, my motivation just thinking if I was a rapist would be because I want to get off, or I want to, you know what I mean? It wouldn't be because I hate God. Like, that just doesn't seem like the reason I would think most rapists would have.
Yeah, the reason rapists rape is the same reason you don't believe in God. It's because you hate him.
That's a very broad and sweeping generalization.
No, it's absolutely true. So the Bible says in Romans 1 that you suppress the truth in unrighteousness. So what we're talking about here is we're talking about, Bernie Sanders and whether or not healthcare is moral or immoral. And what I'm saying is that you know the truth, you know what's moral, you know what's immoral, but the reason you don't follow or you pretend to not believe in God is because you're suppressing that truth in unrighteousness, whether that's idolatry or whatever. It doesn't really matter what sin it is that causes you to suppress.
That's if you have the presumptuous belief that what you believe, that whatever particular religion you believe, which I'm not sure which it is, you think that one is true when there's hundreds and hundreds out there.
Yeah, they're all
and
wrong.
There's flaws
mine
in right, which is extremely arrogant and ignorant of a belief to have. See, I don't have that kind of belief where I'm like, I think I'm right for sure. I don't really know. There could be a God. I don't think there is because I haven't seen any real good evidence, but hey, there could be, but I don't have that presumptuous belief of, I know I'm right. That's just ridiculous. You don't know you're right.
Why I know the Bible is right.
But you can't know that. Why is the Bible right? Something that it wasn't even written by Jesus, who's that this doesn't make sense.
What makes something true or right or wrong? What makes that right or wrong? What makes anything right or wrong?
That's a very objective question. What makes something right or wrong? I don't know.
Well, I mean, you just told me that I can't know if the Bible is true, so I'm asking you, what how do you?
Because you can't 100% fully know that it's true. There's just no other besides just with faith and believing it. With no actual full reasoning, that's the only reason you can really know it's true is just with faith. You can't fully know because there's been no evidence to prove one religion is superior to the other. That's why they all still exist, and there's tons of people under all the different denominations. Because
well, I can know that the Bible is true because I have a standard for what is true, and the Bible is the only thing that lines up with that standard. So do you believe in evolution? You just evolved pond scum?
I mean, yeah, I believe that we evolved from things on this planet. Yes, yeah, I don't think we just were placed here randomly by God.
So why is anything moral or immoral? Why is it wrong to rape? Why is it wrong to rape if it's just evolved pond scum?
Because we're not pond scum. We're evolved human beings with brains and feelings and emotions, and we know we have empathy and sympathy. We know when things are disgusting. At least when you're not someone who's sick in the head, who's not right. The people like that aren't.
Feelings and emotions don't matter if you're just a bunch of atoms floating in through an infinite black space.
See, that might be your interpretation. For some reason, without God, you think that people and what we are and our intelligence and the power we have doesn't matter for some reason. But I don't agree with that.
It's just atoms.
Well, I don't agree with that. That doesn't make any sense to me. Just because we weren't placed here by some objective.
You don't believe that you're just atoms?
I do. I think we came from stars. That's where all the elements that are on this planet came from stars. That's what we were created from.
Yeah. So what does it matter? If rape, murder, what does it matter? You're just stars. You're just from stars.
See, in my opinion, that's just a disgusting way to look at it. I think to be like, you're just stars. So why does it matter?
That's what you believe. You just told me that.
That's not what I believe. I believe because I think those things are terrible, and I realize that some things like that are wrong. But I don't need to believe in some, story that has really no actual evidence in reality to live my life by good terms and good deeds, because I don't need that kind of thing. I know what being a good person is, just being a decent person. I don't need to have God and some religion to walk, hold my hand through life to show me what I need to do is good.
But the reason you know what is good is because you're not stardust. It's because you're created in the image of God and you have a conscience, you have knowledge, you have feelings, those sort of things, which don't make sense in a universe of just everybody stardust.
I think it does if you look at our intelligence and the ability of what our brains are able to do based on other animals on this planet. And even animals on this planet show empathy and traits that we have, like gorillas and stuff that are, closest things, or chimpanzees. They show tremendous empathy and warmth that just like we do. We just have it on a much higher level.
Yeah, I don't see how you can account for empathy in a universe that's just atoms bouncing around and forming chemical reactions. If I have, for example, if I have a bottle of Mountain Dew and I have a bottle of Dr. Pepper, and I shake them up and they cause a chemical reaction, is the Dr. Pepper right, or is the Mountain Dew wrong? They're just chemical reactions, right?
But that's because you're looking at what a human brain or a human or even an animal as something as simple as a chemical reaction, just because they may have started out with simple life.
That's what they are.
And that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. We are all made up chemicals and reactions. That's very true. But we're more than just that. We're not just chemicals and reactions.
Where does that more than that come from?
From our brains and from how developed we are, from evolving.
Just chemical reactions, though.
That is true, but that doesn't mean that that it's not possible for it to get to. I mean, when you look at other animals on this planet and they have similar traits that humans have, that to me is good evidence of, okay, look, if they can share the same traits and feelings that we can, clearly it makes sense that we would have came from the same planet, and we're a similar being of this. We're not just something that was plucked down here randomly to live with all these animals that live here that we share similarities to just by coincidence.
Or maybe we share similarities to animals because we have the same artist who made it from the same mind. You can laugh, man. You can laugh. It's fine, but it's true. It's true. I mean, that would be my challenge to you. Because see, your political theory of we should help people and we should provide health care to everybody and the rich should pay their fair share. It doesn't make sense if we're just all atoms. See, your political system doesn't make any sense whatsoever in a universe that is void of any meaning.
I disagree. I don't think it's void of meaning just because I don't have a particular religion or a book that I need to read and follow to find my beliefs.
The reason you think that way is because you're created in the image of God, and He's given you a knowledge of right and wrong, and you refuse to acknowledge Him as the Lord over your conscience and knowledge of morality.
No, I wouldn't say that God has taught me right and wrong at all. I'd say my upbringing has, and my family's never been religious, and so I've had many friends that were like, my best friend growing up was Mormon, and I even went to his church with him to do different activities and stuff, and I just I gave it a chance. It'd be great, but if it was real, but it's not. There's just it's not like I didn't give it a shot. But
how do you know anything is true?
How do I know anything is
true?
How
do you know you're just not a brain in a vat and you're just having a hallucination right now?
You ask a lot of very
they're good questions,
objective questions.
Yeah, good questions
that don't. Well, they know because it doesn't make a lot of sense. How do you know anything is real? That's a very am I living in the matrix? That's just a very loaded question.
A completely valid question because you don't know.
Yeah. Okay. You're right. Yeah. You don't. I guess technically you could be living in some simulation, but I'd be inclined to believe that's not true. But
well, right. But, I mean, so you don't know what is true because you could be in a simulation.
Sure.
So see, what I'm saying is I can know things are true because the Word of God is the Word of God and the Word of God is true. And because I know that there's a God that knows everything, it's possible to know something. And if you don't know, if you deny that there's a God, you have no basis to know anything at all.
Yeah, to me that's incredibly ignorant. You don't know God, you know nothing at all. There's science, there's so many other things out there besides
you're
God.
You're telling me that I'm possibly ignorant.
So you don't need God to learn science and all these other things. That's not something you need to know anything about to do. I don't understand how you can make a claim of.
I'm not arguing that you don't know God. I'm arguing that you do know God, and you're suppressing that truth in your unrighteousness and refusal to submit to Him.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, it's great talking to you, Hawkeye.
Yeah, you too.
All right, man.
All right.
Well, that was fun. This is fun. This is like this is so much better than any of the street preaching I used to do years and years and years ago. It's so much better on a completely different level. Because because people are willingly coming to me and having these conversations, and we're you know, like I'm not trying to be mean, I'm not trying to be a jerk, but what we saw with Hawkeye was that he had no way to base any standard of morality or truth or anything. He could be a simulation, but somehow rape is wrong, and then it's not right that Amazon is paying $0 in taxes. So there has to be a standard for these things. By the way, if anybody else wants to talk, just type. I think there's a few people in the Discord, so if you're still here, just type in the Discord that you want to talk to me, and I'll send you. We'll go ahead and do a voice chat. It'll be fun. So I'm having a great time. By the way, if you're enjoying these sort of discussions, feel free to send a super chat. By the way, it's a really great thing when you send the super chats. It really encourages me to keep doing these things. Lets me know that you're enjoying it. I really appreciate those a lot, and my wife does too. So if there's anybody in the Discord. It seems like Deathbed Nietzsche is still here, and a guy named Andrew is here. So if you want to, just send a quick little pick me or something in the chat, and I will talk to you guys as well. But so far, it's been a fun and interesting night. I've really enjoyed having these sort of conversations. They're really fun. And I'll take one more call, unless I get a super chat begging me to take another one. But I'll take one more call if someone in the Discord simply responds, I want to talk or something, anything. Just say anything. I know there's people in the Discord. Pick me. All right, Deathbed Nietzsche. We're going to talk to Deathbed Nietzsche right now. I have to send you a friend request. You have to accept that friend request, and then we can talk, I think. Oh, maybe not. We're going to talk to Deathbed Nietzsche right now. Thanks, everybody, for joining the chat. Be sure to share this live stream. Be sure to tell your friends. Deathbed, are you there?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes. How are you doing? I have to ask you to explain Deathbed Nietzsche.
Okay, so I went through like a manic phase 3 years ago. And I was highly involved on I was foolishly posting on Facebook all the time, and all my posts were globally visible. So some rando said, "You sound like Nietzsche on his deathbed."
Oh, so that's where you got the name.
Yeah.
I think it's a good one, man. I'm not trashing it at all. It's a good one. So
no.
What state are you from?
I'm actually not from the United States.
Oh, okay. What country are you calling from then?
I'm Northern Clime.
Northern Clime?
From the Great North.
You're from the Great North. Okay. So are you a Bernie supporter, or what are you calling in to talk about?
I'm definitely on the right.
Oh, okay. So any thoughts?
Yeah, well, I'd say that Bernie and Biden are objectively evil. Their stances on sexuality and abortion are enough to dismiss them. But
well, are you basing that on the Bible? Are you a Christian? Or
yeah, I'm a Christian.
Oh, okay.
Definitely.
Okay.
I'm not gonna do precept with you.
Oh, so you're one of those Christians that actually knows what that word is. So. So good stuff. So.
Yeah, but I would say that you should not dismiss the appeal of Bernie social safety nets really appeal to people a lot in the West, and it seems like 40% of the electorate of the United States no longer views socialism as a boogeyman.
Oh, dude, I completely 100% agree with you on that, man. I am not dismissing the fact that he filled a stadium full of people that don't understand basic economics, and are cheering abortion. I'm not dismissing that at all. I would argue that would be a sign of our nation being under judgment for sure. So.
Right. Yeah, covenantal theology and that.
Yeah. I mean, what denomination do you?
I unironically identify myself as an evangelifish.
Okay, that I know where you're coming from with that. It's weird. I've never had anybody identify themselves as that, but it is interesting that you.
Well, I embrace it because, like, I seem to I have a lot of my Christianity is pretty eclectic right now.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I grew up in a Pentecostal congregation. Then I got exposed to more conservative, more doctrinaire forms of Christianity, Baptist. I went to a Baptist congregation. Then, even before then, like, I discovered Calvinism when everyone else seemed to, that whole new movement. And I ended up accepting the 5 points through basic biblical arguments and a few morsels of like Owen and whatever, but I'd never read the Institutes of the Christian Religion. And then I got exposed to Dr. Michael Heiser, and also a friend of mine converted to Catholicism, and I'm also exploring Eastern Orthodoxy. So
yeah, real quick, got to interrupt you because I got a super chat, $5 super chat from Julio Rodriguez, who says, "Marcus, thank you for the great content." Okay, go ahead, continue. Sorry.
I'm just exploring. Like, I'm exploring. Like, I'm like even dabbling in patristics and stuff like that.
What is patristics?
Who knows where it'll land? The fathers, right?
Oh, okay, the early church fathers. Okay, sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, man. Well, hey, dude, I just want to say thank you guys so much. Thank you for calling in. Really appreciate it, dude.
All right.
Thanks for subscribing and joining. It's awesome. And keep reading Doug Wilson. All right. So that was Deathbed Nietzsche. That was fun. I'm encouraged just by the fact that I can reach people internationally, and we can have conversations and talk about things. It's really, really interesting. Great content. Thank you again, Julio, for your $5 super chat. Really appreciate it. Wolfgang Felix says, "The Bible turned my family into a nightmare." Well, Wolfgang, would you like to talk about it? Julio sent a $5 super chat, so I'm going to take one more call if that's available, if somebody wants to. I'd like to talk to Wolfgang Felix. You can join the Discord, and I can video chat or just call on the phone. Whichever. It looks like Andrew is still in the Discord. If he would like to have me call in or to call in, I can do that. Or we can talk to Wolfgang Felix, who sounds really interesting. I would like to know how the Bible turned his family into a nightmare and how the Bible divides family and the world. That'd be a fun conversation. Feel free to join the Discord, Wolfgang. If you're in the process of doing it, just let me know, and I'll hang on and wait for you. But this is fun. This is fun stuff. Thanks to everybody who's watching, especially those in on the Facebook world. Andrew is a Facebook friend of mine, so it doesn't look like he's going to join the Discord and debate me or have a conversation. But I know who you are, Andrew. How are you doing, man? So, Wolfgang says he's not calling, but I could write. Well, that's just not as interesting content, reading chats. That's just not as interesting. So, appreciate the offer, though. But I think it's more entertaining to actually talk and have interactions with people. So, Julio sent in a $5 super chat, so I'll hang around and see if we can get one more person that wants to join the Discord. If not, in about 2 minutes, we'll end the night. We've been streaming for about 3 hours, but it's been a fun night. It's been an interesting night. Again, thank you guys so much, especially everybody that calls in. That's really brings me a lot of joy to have these conversations and talk with people, and I hope I do it graciously, and I hope I don't know the answers to everything, but I do have a basis in which that which I know, I can be certain of, and so that is thanks to Scripture as the solid foundation of all things. So, but this is really fun, really a good time. I'll put the Discord in the link one more time in case anybody wants to join the chat. The Discord is ready and available. I want to make sure Julio gets his money's worth, if possible. And while we do that, we will lower the desk. We're gonna lower the desk. Just bring it down. Bring the desk down. And we'll have a seat like I'm Chris Hansen. How about that? Bring it down just a little bit. Get us in focus. Get us in focus. There we go. That's good. That's fun. But this has been a really interesting time, guys. I get a lot of messages after the show. Usually after I do this, a lot of people that really appreciate the interactions and stuff. And when you're doing these sort of live streams, when you're doing this sort of like figuring things out, Gino Phillips says for $10 super chat, love your content, my dude. Would have loved to hear Wolfgang's story. Also, Jesus Christ is King. I would like to hear Wolfgang's story as well. I just don't, if it's a really long story, I just don't want to read chats. He's more than welcome to call in at any time. But anyway, Julio says, so thanks, Gino. $10, really appreciate that. Julio Rodriguez says, Marcus, Charlie Kirk has made the argument that the right should stay away from regulating and making pornography illegal. What would be your basis from Scripture and being a libertarian? It's a very good question. And because Gino sent us a $10 super chat and Julio sent a $5 super chat, I will answer that question. I would argue that adultery should be illegal, for sure. And so anybody who has public evidence of adultery, I think there's reason enough to give them the death penalty. So when we're talking about those sort of things, I think pornography, of course, is absolutely 100% adultery. It's at least perpetuating adultery. I know theonomists tend to disagree under whether pornography is adultery or if it's not adultery. It absolutely perpetuates it in the heart. And so I think if you honestly, I don't think pornography would be an issue if the death penalty for adultery was still around. I think that let me lower this just a little bit more because it's kind of high still. I don't think that would be an issue. So it's one of those things where pornography is for sure a symptom of the problem, and I think that there could be specific cases where adultery is pornography is self-incriminating, right? So the Bible says, in order to be charged with adultery, there has to be 2 or 3 witnesses, right? So an example of this would be, there was a Puritan story. This is a true story, I believe, where there was 2 people who were tried with adultery, and they were caught having having an affair behind a tree. And so it went to trial. And at the trial, there were witnesses. There were 2 witnesses. And one witness said it was an oak tree. And the other witness said that it was, I don't know, a maple tree, whatever. It was just 2 different kinds of trees. And because the witnesses didn't agree on the type of tree, they were found not guilty of adultery. And so I think when you have pornography, when you have video evidence, it eliminates that ability for them to deny it. Now, of course, the questions come up and say, well, what about if they're married? Well, I think if adultery is illegal, you're not going to have a lot of married pornography. You're not going to have a lot of that. And chances are that people who engage in pornography as a married couple are probably committing adultery, and they'll get caught. So it's just one of those things. I don't think pornography would ultimately be a problem. I think pornography is a symptom of adultery not being illegal in our country. And I think, you see that just, 50 years ago, 60 years ago, what we see on TV in every episode was considered pornography. And a lot of that is because we don't take adultery seriously anymore. And so when you take adultery seriously, I think pornography will be a lot less. Now, for sure, I don't think organizations like Pornhub and people that distribute those sort of things should be allowed to be in business. That's just my personal take. I'll have to think about it a lot more in terms of the biblical law of that, in terms of how the government could stop organizations from Pornhub. But I would rather shut them down, shut those organizations down, than not. So I'm trying to figure out exactly how I would base that on Scripture. But I think ultimately what I would argue is that let's just end adultery, make it a criminal offense worthy of the death penalty. And then from there, we can discuss pornography, which I think will have a lot less. So Julio, that is my thoughts on that. I don't agree with this radical conservatism, libertarianism, especially Charlie Kirk, who's like, let's bring trans people into the conservative movement. Let's bring gay people into the conservative movement. I don't think that the party can exist at its foundation when you allow those things to be representative of conservative values. It just doesn't work. So that's that. Those are my thoughts on adultery being illegal as a libertarian and theonomist. So Julio, I hope that was a good answer for you, man. I hope that was satisfactory. It doesn't seem like anybody else has entered the chat, entered the Discord. So I think that is going to be a night. I'm going to call it a night. It's been a fun 3 hours and 13 minutes. It's been a fun discussion. And yeah, I hope you guys have a good night. And thank you guys for joining the chat. Thank you guys for all the super chats. Thank you guys for everything. I really, really appreciate it. This is really, really a great joy of mine to do these sort of things. So Julio says it was a racist response. Everything is racist, especially if you look at my Twitter feed and look at the replies. Everything I say is racist, apparently, on Twitter too. But again, thanks everybody for following me. Thank you guys for subscribing and liking. be sure to hit that bell on YouTube if you want to be notified next time I go live. I'd like to do a lot more of these discussions with people who don't agree with me, or just do a call-in show maybe with people that do, because I think it's really good content. People seem to appreciate it. You can tell by the super chats, by the way, that people appreciate it. So I thank you guys, everybody, seriously, that's sending a super chat and make this more valuable than it is for me. I really mean I'd do it for free, but the super chats really encourage me to do it more often and take it seriously, and so I really appreciate that. So thank you guys so much. Thank you for all those sort of things. Be sure to like and subscribe and follow me, youtube.com/ChronoNightsMedia, if you're not doing so already, if you're watching on Facebook or something like that. But again, thank you guys so much. Everybody have a great night. Go home and love your wife, and if you're not married, go find one. All right. Or I mean, unless that sign off just doesn't work, because you could be a woman and you wouldn't want to find a wife. So anyways, I'm terrible at these. I don't have a catchy sign off. It just doesn't work. So anyways, bye.